13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age.
Welcome back to a special edition episode of 13 Questions. This is going to be a super short intro because this is an impromptu episode, basically. This was originally just an introductory call that I had formulated in my mind between Derek Condit and Dave Robinson. Dave and Derek are both past guests of the show. Derek's episode is 050 and Dave is 101. So definitely give those episodes a listen if you haven't yet already. But during Dave's interview, he shared with us some UFO stories. And I know that Derek has also had some very interesting experiences, and he's able to give some unique perspectives and insights to those experiences and many other experiences that one might have. So I thought that I would connect the two and just kind of see what happens. And was definitely interested to see what Derek had to say about Dave's UFO encounters. So, I kind of asked to be included in the call just to kind of, because I'm curious. I want to know what happened, right? So we just got on the Zoom call and I clicked the record button and we just kind of decided to record it and put it out as an episode to see if anybody would listen to it and be interested. So we're going to release it here on 13 Questions feed, and it might be on Derek's YouTube channel later. I'm not too sure, but other than that, yeah, it's just a conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I think we hit on some really interesting topics and perspectives. It's a little off I don't want to say off the beaten path for the show, but it's definitely a different stride. So if this is something that's well received, I'd like to keep doing more of these in the future. So I did say this was going to be super short, so I will cut it there. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy the conversation as much as I did.
I'll go through a quick little spiel just so we can get to know each other a little bit better. Just short version. So I guess I can go backwards. So I own Mystical Wares, which is a polished rock and gem store. Okay, up here in Mount Vernon, Washington. A whole online version too. But I'm also I prefer the term perceiver of energies. I know it's a little out there, but it kind of encompasses more about it. Again, I go at this pretty bluntly. It is what it is. I can't explain it all, but the whole psychic thing, we'll say, runs in my family, and it does with me as well. And more than that, there's a whole energy aspect to it and remote perspective version. We get into more of that when we need to. It's I'm learning as I go as well. I'm just open to it. So again, no gurus or masters on this end, but just a guy that's trying to learn more and yeah, hang on for the crazy ride is what's been happening. So yeah, it's been interesting, but I can see now real quickly to get just blunt. In some societies, they call individuals like me seers. And again, I can't explain all this, but I've over the years, and I'll tell you what, also, it's been enhancing over this past couple of years. Stupid crazy. Don't know why, don't know how. It's not a magic yoga pose I learned. Don't know what to tell you, but that's turned on to where I can actually, so I'm looking at the camera now, but my vision kind of comes off here to the right and I can start seeing things. I can see entities, I get visuals, I get all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I just call it perceiving reality. And with that comes downloads of information and stuff. So, but that's my crazy world. Wasn't into all that. I'm ex-military as well. And I was doing this stuff then, but I literally didn't even know what the word psychic was back then. And after all that, found out my dad was an NSA spy. There's a whole bad story of that. I didn't know till he was in his 80s. He starts telling me this, and then the stories will come with that. And I just remember, I can go on for hours and I won't, but lots of crazy woo-woo background stuff. and it's been doing nothing but enhancing too. And then I can also, because I can do this crazy stuff remotely, and that's why I'm kind of taking the time now to explain it, because I can do what's called reading you right now. You're an intuitive as well, and I know you already know that. Because I can read your energy centers, they call them chakras, your third eye's enhanced. Tell someone like me you have, enhanced intuition, psychic abilities, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's what I get loosely called a seer. So I can see a lot of things, and it's crazy as heck. I can't explain it all the time. But it's been interesting. So
are you glad that you have this ability?
That's interesting. Nobody's ever asked me that. It's yes, I am ultimately, but it's been a lot because of the perception levels that have enhanced with it. So as what they call abilities, I don't like calling it ability. I like calling it understandings, because as my understandings, again, I'll just speak the way I need to. As my understandings of this universe expands, so do my abilities, because then that tells me they're not abilities. That tells me they're just understandings, because I didn't learn any magic trick with my hands to do. But as the thoughts in my head expand, I have those epiphanies or aha moments. And usually it's from all the crazy stuff that I'm acknowledging over here. I can straight up chat with entities and things. So I know it's crazy as heck, but that's a thing. And as I do that more, say stretch that muscle, the other, I'll just call it etheric muscles, for lack of a better description, enhanced too. It's like lifting a weight, try to focus on your bicep. You're working muscles in your forearm as well, in your hand, and I'm going with this analogy.
Totally.
So the stuff turns up. It's a lot. I'll tell you a little bit more. And the answer is it's a lot, because I don't get to just walk into a room or my business now with what I'll jokingly call my spider senses on a stupid heightened level, to where it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was an actual thing, but it is. And I'm being really vague, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So it's a lot of times, I don't always get to go, power's off sort of thing, and I'm making fun of it. But I'd rather have it than not, would be the answer. Because I get to help a lot of people. It's a remote thing too. I'm going quick again. I know quickly. Did a class on a story the other day. In fact, was on a radio show the other day on this. Bunch of trinkets, think Ghostbuster stuff, little EMF detectors, lots of things and toys. Long story short, I don't want to get into it too much now, but I can hold up my hands, and for whatever reason, I think Bill and I were joking the other day. I wish I had a big brain scientist here to watch with his tools to figure it out and actually say what's going on. But you can have an effect on these, again, widgets, I like to call them, different electronic devices and things. So it's a lot of fun to do that with other people and give them their aha moment. Ooh, see crazy Derek doing these things. But I like to come back around and say, hey, I have no extra fingers. You can do it too. So it's been interesting, I'll just say. And then you're also getting a little feedback. I can also tell you what's called an empath. That's a loose term, but massive heart chakra, something along the back of your neck too. But big upper chakra energy going on, and they'd call it heart-brain coherence. You may know all this stuff, but I can see. So I'm a perceiver, so I can look at your aura. And I'm cheating, brother, just so you know. I'm just looking at you here, and I get to see the energies moving around you. And if they start to coalesce around what we call chakras, I'm like, oh, boosted heart chakra. So it's an easy thing to do once you start perceiving the energies. And then you can actually literally see them. Weird. Yeah, I'll tell you that too. So that's a little bit about my crazy life on this end.
I love it, dude. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and
yeah.
Like we said before we hit record, I am in on the woo, and nothing is out of the world or realm of possibilities in my world, at least.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. And then Bill, I don't know too. I know there's no direction on this. We're just all chit chat kind of thing, but he loosely mentioned the UFO thing. So also, I'm at my point now in my life where I own my own business. Nobody's sending me a check. I don't have to watch what I say. It is what it is. So I don't have to be too shy about these things. I'll tell you that too. And this isn't about me, but I'll tell you just why it's expanded. So as whatever, we'll just say abilities. I'll have to use the terms we have done. As the abilities have expanded for whatever reason with me, so has the perception of these things. So I'll tell you what I mean. I'm a retired correctional officer as well. So a prison guard. I was at maximum security for 16 years, literally serial killers, murderers on the units. I mean, just 100 bad guys. These weren't guys that were, in there for stealing kids' candy. These were, and in that environment, in those heightened energies, again, air quotes here, that stuff really kicks on if you're picking up on those, again, we'll just say those frequencies or levels. I would straight up go to prison some night. And I worked graveyard shifts, so often it would be double shifts. I don't worry about that. But long story short, I would pull up to this prison, and it's the Monroe Correctional Complex, still running today, one of the oldest prisons in the U.S. So just think old towers and just that old kind, big steel gates and all that. So I drive up, and I would see literally craft, what we'd call UFOs, during the day above what's called the big yard. So the ball field for the inmates. Nobody was watching this thing. I would pull up, and this happened many times where I'm, again, just driving up on, it's called the hill because it was up on a hill, coming up around the bend, guards in towers, weapons, which was one of my posts too. This craft was a couple hundred yards off of these guys. Never saw it. And that was my first experience at the prison with UFOs, where I realized, wait a minute, these other guards or COs aren't seeing this thing right there. So this ties in a little bit of my military past. I'll get that maybe in a bit. I can remote as well. You can call it remote viewing. It's a whole lot more than that because it's, again, I call it remote perceiving. I don't know, pop into a craft and perceive, and the other entities, some of them will see me. So crazy stuff like that. I did that. And then in 3D, that little craft went invisible even in my vision. Couldn't tell you how. I don't get a manual with the thing. But I'll tell you, when they saw me or felt me perceiving them, I remoted them in the craft. The oh shit moment happened. Boom, they phased out. They were gone. So those things started happening, even to the point where, so I was, for some of these 16 years as I was at guard, I was always on the perimeter. Always, I'd go extra time because always work double shifts in prison, short staff, blah, blah. So inside the inmates, but at night outside, I thought it was a joke. So for years, I'd listen to George Norion Coast to Coast about these, this, that, and the other black helicopters. And I'm ex-military, and I'm not going to get into it all, but a lot of stories there. Straight up invisible black helicopters. And I say invisible, it has to be like the radar or something, because they would fly at night. I can't give you the whole description, but just this prison's separated from a lot of things out of the open hills. And I was out there, usually in my little, it's called a rover, it's a truck. And I would see the helicopters coming because you can see the lights, the red light, the left, you see which direction they're coming by where the red and green lights are. So, chopper. They come right over the prison, which they shouldn't be doing anyway. That's restricted airspace. You don't get to do that. I don't care how big your government pass is, not without letting us know, because I'm the guy with the gun on the perimeter. Not a good idea. So I'm saying we weren't alerted to this. All of a sudden, a chopper comes through about, I would say 5 feet. I mean, it looked like they were almost touching another helicopter and a third one. I'm going to tell you, the middle one was straight up dead silent. And there are no lights on this thing. There was no noise whatsoever. I don't know how it was happening, but that came over the prison several nights. What they would call the black helicopters. And they don't make any sound, because then they would separate and have just different distance. And the only reason I even knew it was there, because the moon, and these things were at tree level. So they were really low, nowhere than a couple hundred feet off the ground. And I would look through the cockpit of their cockpit, and I saw the silhouette of the pilot. And so the chopper flies by. I'm like, oh, chopper. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I seeing nothing? I'm outside my truck. They know I'm there. I'm looking. In fact, I got this stuff on. None of it showed up of any consequence on cell phone because it was dark out there. But I was out there. They weren't literally trying to hide from me, because I thought, I'd get a knock on my door later saying erase this, that, and the other, but nothing really happened anyway. But that happened too. So just countless incidents. Another you have stories, but it's pretty interesting when you get into that. I'm guessing you may have some of your own.
Yeah, I've had one very physical encounter with craft with some interesting stuff that happened on the front end, and then during and after, and we can definitely get into that. And then I've had another, I would say, like metaphysical, or not necessarily, something I didn't see, but got. Sorry, I lost the volume there for a second. I had another metaphysical, something I couldn't really see, but felt just as viscerally as, we're sitting here talking and I'm sitting in a chair. So I've got I'm very, you were spot on with the intuition. I'm super empathetic. I can read energies. I can see, at least just from body language and facial movements, and I'm very attuned to the unconscious when it comes to people. Like I know if something's wrong. I know if something is I don't know what's wrong, but I know something's wrong, right? And all this stuff is just so interesting when it comes to the different levels and layers of it. And you had mentioned family background. Like my grandfather has had numerous encounters dating back to when he was the first one, 18 years old, and he had 2 or 3 while he was in the military as well. He was on the first nuclear aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise. So
I should warn you a little bit. I'm interrupting you for a reason. I don't know how much Bill warned you, but I'm also a communicator. So when you chat about somebody, they tend to pop in, just so you know. Okay. So that's it. And it's very, again, no ego. I'm not into that. I don't even have time for that crap. But what I'm telling you is it's stupid fast with me. Don't know why. It's always been that way. And it is a family thing, and it runs in the guys and gals of your family. I'm telling you, yes, he's here. He kept saying they were shifting him, whatever that's about too. So, but that's interesting that your family background, because I think it might be more than you even know, which is why he's ringing the heck out of my ears right now too on that too. Because they used to take me away in a little white van all through childhood. They tell us speech therapy was their story, but then long story short, I'd get taken away. I grew up down in LA, brought back at the end of the day. Memory wipes, not knowing what happened, sort of thing, put back in school. And that was my whole childhood. And I thought that was normal kind of thing. So, well, I'll tell you too.
I did do speech therapy as a kid, but I do remember specifically not being able to say the word bird. I kept saying Boyd. I couldn't do my IRs. It would be like Boyds. So I had like random New Jersey accent. I was like a little Southern kid on my IRs. So my parents were like, nah, we ain't doing that. Let's send them to at least what I think at this point. Now you're telling me something otherwise. But no, go ahead.
A lot of times it is. I didn't know all that either.
Totally.
Yeah. I had no idea. There was some of that on you because I can see it over here. Anyway, I get the downloads, you'll call it, sort of thing. I didn't know all this. I didn't know my dad. All I knew about my dad was a Marine. I was a radio operator. Literally, that's all he would tell me until he was, I think, 77 or something. And then he finally told me, "Oh yeah, they called it the NSA." I'm like, "You fool! Do you know who who you're talking to?" By then, I was already on the radio talking to Sasquatch, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then he gets in, and by this time, he tells me, "Dave, this is my dad's, and his name is Dave, by the way. My grandpa's name is Dave. My brother's name is Dave."
That's so So my dad and granddad's name are also Dave, so as is my name. So yeah.
Are any of the ladies in your family start with a D as well?
My mom's middle name is Diane.
Diane.
That's on a different side. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, those sync together. Yeah. That's interesting. What I was going to say also was he didn't tell me until his 80s. In there, what he did in the NSA and that kind of stuff too. And but I was already in and out of the Army by then. So I was in the Army. I joined during Desert Shield. I was 21, in Europe for 4 years. And that's when our U.S. Army would take me and put me in Birch's Gardens. I've done whole shows on this, which is Hitler's old hideouts, the Eagle's Nest and all blah, blah, blah. And put me there, which I'm telling you for a reason it ties in. And I didn't know why all of a sudden I was private at the time when they started. This old private Condit was being gifted and awarded this, that, and the other, where I would be the only soldier in this entire hotel in Birch's Gardens, Germany. And in the city had next to nobody. And that's where I found out. And I didn't know about this because I wasn't researching Hitler and all this. Wasn't my thing. And then they give me this free tour. Long story short, and then they're walking around with me I'm kind of jumping around because I found more out later. I woke up in one of these nights in this hotel room, the whole scenario floating in the room, heading towards the window thing. And it looked like ETs were around me. Because I could already perceive by then, just see through the BS of this reality. I'll just sum it up like that. It wasn't ETs. It was humans doing this sort of thing, but I was straight up levitating. So I woke up in the middle of that whole scenario. So things like that, to where they're like heading towards the window and, the abduction scenario. And who knows how many times that's probably happened. And they actually pull me out. I don't know. But that was one where I actually woke up during the middle of it to where, like you were saying, you look around and go, your oh shit moment. And I'm going, oh yeah. So I've had ones like that too. And that stuff is happening a whole lot more than most of us think. It runs in your family line, is what I'm telling you as well. It's in your blood as well. You may be that what they call O negative. There's a few terms they'll put out there in different types. You're going to be one of those. So your blood, your vehicle, that body can hold more frequencies than many other vehicles. So I'll say you can run a nitrous, brothers, what I'm telling you, and I can see it energetically on you. You're just one, and down here we call it, ooh, you're a psychic, you're an empath, you're a, who knows, pick your culture, different terms, but that's what you are. And that can all change too. So that's a whole frequency thing. We like to say the word energies a lot, which, what does that mean? Yeah.
I don't know if you're into astrology or human design or anything like that. I'm a generator from a human design standpoint, and so that makes a there
you go. Okay, I didn't know your terms, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a big time generator, which is why I'm in all the crazy stuff like Shungite here. It's all just frequency and energy. Oh, you are. Yeah, you're going to be one of those. You're also a healer. So talking full woo-woo terms here. Let's get into those. You're an energy healer. You can also remote things. You can also affect items and environments. Like Bill's a good environmental energy worker. I know it's a vague term. You hold space. Not everybody can do this. You hold space. You can walk in a room, people are going to feel it. Well, that's a thing. And when I just come at it bluntly, because here I'm not taking a dime for anything. It's not a show. I'm just telling you, I can actually see the, space or energies you're holding, and it's a thing. So now you need to know that, and that when you walk into a room, know that if you're in a pissed off mood, they're all going to feel that. Or lovey-dovey mood, the same thing too.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
I've learned that very recently in terms of just the effect of my energy on those around me, and in those very exact terms. That's been something I've come across. And what's funny is professionally, I hold space for people. Like I sit across from people via Zoom and work people's deep inner stories. So that is.
And you clear them, you move them.
Move them.
I'm chatting with you. That's interesting. He's done more in the past. Well, I'm going to do that. What I'm doing here, you're coming in strong. Oh, that's messing with my throat chakra. Long story short, you would term it your higher self is sitting right here talking, giving me insight. And that's weird. And this is new for me too. You see me touch it? I don't know what to tell you. It's weird as hell. I can physically feel the metaphysical stuff. That's been changing. So I'm just telling you that one. If you see my touching stuff, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a word for it. You're coming through. Let me just chat with you because you're getting really pushy over here in a good way. Ooh, OCD. You got big time OCD. So the multiple thoughts. Well, he says, he's talking. Oh, you're heating me up. He's talking about you. So again, you call it your higher self. You go so fast. Good luck with that one. You also make big leaps. He's capable, but he brings it back around. Oh, you're the person that can see what I'll turn all the puzzle pieces in this life and put it back together. But you're also clear of energies too. So that's a weird term, but when you are in somebody's energy environment, and that's remotely like just now too, because your energies are in this room coming off this. That's just a thing, however they want to term that, because I can see it. You move excess energies, overages, attachments. It can be called lots of stuff off of people. And then the more you get your imagination, the more it has an effect, just so you know, because I'm watching it in here. So, and then it keeps moving. So I'm just chatting with you real quick. I'm getting all that. It's not a big reading thing. Something about your lower back. So middle, lower back, I
actually was born with a spinal condition. I had a bad injury there in 2019, man.
Or are you open to having it healed? You open to?
Hell yeah.
Okay, because what's going on? You may feel something here. You're going to see me hold my crazy hands up. I'm going to hold a piece of Shungite here on this side. Just a mineral for earthing and grounding, because you're asking. Usually I wouldn't have done this kind of thing. So let me perceive, Dave. You may heat up a little. So Dave, and I'm watching you. Oh, it's nerve. So on your nerve. Oh, you ring my ears. That was loud. And that you're going to call it like tonight's like symptoms. When I tune in, long story short, I don't know why, but it's like a really sharp ringing as it tunes in. So you are the perfect example of perfect love here and now. And you have no injury. Oh, you also get tingling through your skin. You're telling me that over here. And we're going to clear that out. Your pH is off in your blood. Your doctor will tell you that too. Fix that with apple cider vinegar and mother. And that vertebrae is out. So let's push it back in. It's interesting because, as you know, you do things remotely. What I'm doing over here, I don't know what's showing on screen because I'm not really worried about it. There's a you floating over here, we'll say energy-wise. I'm just chatting with you. You're showing me things. So it's not even that impressive from my perspective, so you know. I'm watching the energy on you. Hang on, you're slowing me down. It says remove. You may feel something from your waist down. What I'm doing is you're going to feel... I didn't know we were going to do this. I'm actually sitting here heating up. I got a fan on me off camera there. You're taking advantage of the moment. You're removing excess energies. You're going to get an expansion. It's called, is what it was. Your lower chakras were holding on too much. Your upper chakras were activated, you can say. So what you're doing, that's not me. We're going to even out your energies in alignment with your higher self, because you wouldn't want somebody like me thinking they're a guru or master or something like that. It's about what you need. I just do the frequencies. I'm only saying as much as I can. I'm going to stop now on this one, but what I'll tell you is for at least a couple of days, you're going to feel, because you're the one doing it to yourself here, odd energies moving around you. And maybe later after this chat, something like that, doesn't matter. Weird, subtle energy sensations. You're upgrading yourself. And so here, I'll go real quickly. You in the background, knew you were going to have this chat, and they'll know that I'm going to pause. I'll reach out there, just fling off some excess energies. So you have expansion room now. I didn't give you anything, just help you earth or ground is another way of terming it. You're a healer. You're a healer. She keep telling me he's a healer. He's a healer from inside out. Whatever that means, from inside out. You're a healer from inside out. Generally, I think about it just the opposite, from outside in. When I'm doing my healing thing, it's like thinking physical, blah, blah, blah. And he moves them around. He moves the chakras. He moves energy. So I'm getting a visual here. Oh, you actually do that. Oh, you get excited. And oh, it's going to mess my throat too. As you visualize, think about again, what they call chakras or nerve centers or energies. It happens on them over there, on your client or whomever you're chatting with. Your imagination is remote perceived, is what I'm telling you also. So that's why you also make sure you're in check when you go in places too, because if you go in the too heightened, I'm the same way, by the way. I'll walk in there and all heightened, if I get all pissed off if something this, that, or the other happens. Watch yourself, because your everybody else's spider senses will be tingling too. So be aware of that. Yeah, you're interesting. You've got a lot going on there. A big player. I'm still asking you from inside out, what's that all about? And it looks like starting with what we call emotion energy. I don't have a good word for it. You're building up from inside out. I don't know. This is you chatting. So whatever that is, you build them up from the inside out. And that's interesting because it's kind of the opposite how I usually do mine. But
that's rad. That is so cool.
Yeah, and if you want, I know this wasn't a session thing. You probably didn't even know the crazy Derek, you do this stuff. Anytime you want, you also have what I'm going to call, okay, let me show you real quick here. Just water. I'm making some stupid joke. No Kool-Aid. I'm not affiliated in any clubs. Not a fan of any of that crap, just so you know. Nope, not about that. I'm a science guy, to be honest. Science doesn't know everything, but what they know is accurate. But there's physics, metaphysics. They're connected, just so you know my perspective. So, and I can't explain it all. But you're interrupting me here for a minute on this side. You're saying he's expanding. He can't pay blah, blah, blah. I get a visual on you over here. So basically, it's like Russian nesting dolls. Those little dolls that go inside of each other. Mm-hmm. There's like 4 or 5 of you over here, and you're like pulsing on me, like they're growing. I don't know. So I'm trying to get the visual and describe it to you. What I was trying to tell you a minute ago was I didn't know I was going to do a reading thing, but you apparently did on what it was. You got a lady. The Kool-Aid joke. I call them spirit guides. You have a lady that just came in. It's a family member. She's with you. I use the word spirit guide. And when I use my jazz hands over here, and I don't know why, but it affects the frequencies or energies. If you see me moving them, just so you know. You have a female guide that's been getting in here for quite a bit. And I'll tell you, the fact that she's even affecting my right ear, you would notice like tinnitus-like symptoms, but they're on the money, like Morse code kind of thing in my ears now. They used to be just ringing and subtle. That changes. Let me tell you, it does expand into like a language. she's touching my high deaf ear. I jokingly call it. I usually tell people this part because usually it's my left ear. And blah, 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 blah. I don't know who she is. It's like, she's definitely a family member. So, but she's around you and she works and lives through you. So I'll just tell you, you're a team. You're not one person that works through you. You got a team and you've apparently invited them. So that's good. That's awesome. From my perspective, I don't see many energy work. I'm just going to use my terms. I haven't had the chance to go all the way through your website and look at, Bill and I only chatted for a couple minutes. That's great that you're in the public doing what you're doing. Cause I tell you, I think you're healing on more levels than you even know it, brother. So that's an awesome thing to see. And it's very interesting too. Big emotion, massive emotion. You are a huge empath. And she's getting chit chatty, telling me she's talking about, he doesn't even know half of it yet. Which is good, because I'll tell you what they try. I don't like the term they call upgrades, things that I don't like that term. I say expanding into more of what you already are. You got some expansion coming, and that's not a diss. That's a compliment, by the way. That's an awesome thing to see, is what it is. You can hold more. So anyway, if you want to, again, you didn't know if you want, even though I could do that kind of thing. I'm just trying to tone it down right now because it's like taking a lot of my perception level. We can chat about that.
Yeah, absolutely. What's super interesting to me, man, is 20 seconds before you said the female entered the room, you mentioned the Russian dolls, right? And I've always thought of myself as having a lot of layers, but my partner, who you're speaking of here, I imagine my partner Ruslana was born in Kiev, Ukraine, speaks Russian, is a healer herself. She's way more in tune than I am on all of this stuff. She's writing a book. Yeah, like she's in on all this, and we've had an incredible, loving partnership together of growing not only in our own journeys, but in how we're able to help and affect the world around us. So I mean,
good team. She's a good team with you too. It is her. She's here, by the way. There's a whole plant. She's showing me plants and showing them. I'm like, I don't know what you're showing me, a bunch of plants, forest herbs or something or other. You didn't even mess my throat. Nature and blah, blah, blah. She says I can do more of that. Very light, I'll say. She's over here. So she's like light and I don't know. It's not a good word for that in my vocabulary. I'll just say great team, you two together. You work well. A good combination of frequencies, if I get all sciencey on you. She's hugging a cedar tree or something. I don't know what she's doing over there. So she's got a tree, whole forest scene going on. I'm trying to see if she's actually want to give like a message or something. But she's with trees and there's a bunch of herbs or so. I don't know. I can't tell that clearly what she's holding, but it's a bunch of plants or something. She's all into that. But that's interesting. Yeah, that's great. You guys are doing that. I will look more on your website that's closed here and check it out. It sounds like you do sessions with clients and stuff too.
I do. And when you mentioned the heal from the inside out, I mean, the work I do is getting, very much into the inner, right? Because we're talking about words, breath, stories. And so stories, what we tell ourselves about ourselves and how we perceive our own reality is in my opinion, everything, because that basically dictates, again, the reality that we're actually seeing, right? So if you didn't have the identity of this empath and this, seer and healer, right? You might just be like, I don't know what the hell this is, and shove it down or dull it off or, whatever it may be, right? But so many people use their stories or the experiences that they've been through or, what they think about to hold them back and to create conflict and to not live fully and live with love. And, it creates pain and hardship, and so I get in and heal stuck, hurt, haunted, clear that space. And then we can actually do the fun stuff and get creative and build and use our words for us as opposed to against us.
Oh yeah. Your words are everything. And then the intentions behind them, even more so kind of thing. Because some words can be used in different ways, but it's intentions. And when I see it, I can see again. I don't have a better way of saying it, Dave, other than energetically, and it changes past that because it turns into a visual. I get to watch a movie. I get to actually see entities and ghosts and things like that. A lot of things, but I perceive to see it prefer to see energetically, because then I'm getting back down to the base and I remove the 3D story. So that's because I can see people they hold on to a thought. I get to see it visually on them as, ooh, like an attachment. And then I can grab that. And actually, I'm looking at one right now and go, oh, what is that? And then I get to psychically look at it and go back, oh, trauma, drama, with mommy and blah, blah. And then I can see the story. And then mom, I don't have a whole lot of limits. So I'll just tell you, I get to see it visually like that on those energy attachments. You know, they call it karma and this thing and the other. I'll say it's all energy and it can be changed and moved. And I'm going to go big picture from all lifetimes. When you realize from this reality that time's not a thing, that doesn't exist. It's a fake word. There's no such thing as time. And this reality, this is more like a video on demand than a linear, ooh, live, die. That's not a thing either. It's video on demand. They all happen at once. And I know that because I get to perceive your other lifetimes by looking over here. I say, oh, Dave. And then I don't know why, but they're behind you and you're still active in them now. So anybody that says time is real, BS, it just is not. And you can connect to all the other ones. Just think Russian nesting dolls. So I'll tell you, you got a whole wizardy looking one here where you're healing in the forest. And if you knew that about yourself, all you had to do as a little human form in this reality is imagine that aspect of yourself. Your imagination is real. You can, and there's 1,000 ways of doing it. Imagine donning on that little wizard robe or have fun with it, whatever. But it's the excitement and the energies in that moment that will actually tune the frequencies around you, the muscles you already got, and you get to use them. Remember, I'm just a blunt guy. I just get to tell you. So my job sometimes, not in this time because we're just chatting, is to get the human who I have a session with to realize that and have their aha moment, I sometimes term it. And then they'll feel it, whoosh it. And then I see the abilities turn on, which then told me over the years, oh, hell, that's not an ability. It's always there. They just needed to realize it. And then it goes. And then when I come at it from that understanding, knowing we can all already do this to one degree or another, it gets way, way faster and just stupid, unbelievable, the stuff that happens on a daily basis in my office. I mean, it is just straight up freaky. So if you had a camera on me for some show, make believe, that's CGI, that thing, blah, blah, blah. They'd call BS on everything that happened in there. It is crazy. And that just and I don't worry about all that because I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. But let me tell you, countless people or circumstances have all seen these things. It is what it is. And on demand, by the way, then you get to see the stuff really happens. When you go at it without that ego or worried about proving, this stuff turns up. All I can say is you get out of your own way and it amplifies. That's a message for you, by the way. Yeah, because you're that guy in the beach. I'm going to say that California got big old muscles, but you don't know it energetically wise. So you've been lifting heavy, heavy things, doing a lot of energy work. I'll just say, having more of an effect than most. But I'm telling you, you still don't realize just how big of muscles you got, how much energy. So you got some, and this is all meant as compliments, by the way. So awesome. I'm putting it inside of you. You can call it your biofield, your aura, but I tell you, you've got a lot more room on your playlist, is another way of putting it, than most. So keep expanding, doing your things, getting your imagination, emotions. Those are energy layers that you can get into more still and have a bigger effect. So that's great to see somebody like you. I don't get to see you are a woo-woo, and that's a compliment from me, by the way. You're pulling more metaphysical. So you're 10% physical, 90% metaphysical, and people don't realize that. So they stay in the 10%. Sight, taste, touch, smell, sound. I'm telling you, you're tapping more of those I'm putting the side of your aura here, more of those metaphysical frequencies, the subtle energies, the stuff. Pay attention to that because you're going to get more input too.
I told this story on the 13 Questions podcast, but it's the one that really opened my eyes to this because it's the only download experience, quote unquote download type experience that I've had. But it reminded me something I intuitively, I think, had known but shied away from, and yet also told me very bluntly. Right. So this is August of 2020. I'm doing side job because I had moved to Mexico in March of 2020 to open a health and wellness retreat center down there with a former business partner. And 16 days later, COVID hit, the borders got shut. That thing got shuttered. We lost our deal. The whole thing just poof, crash. And I was in a real rough place. So this was me eating my humble pie in the great arc of this particular hero's journey cycle. But so I'm eating the humble pie. I'm working in a buddy's dorm room furniture removal company. So I'm like scrubbing moldy college dorm room refrigerators and like cleaning burnt popcorn that had caught on fire out of microwaves and hauling 400 mini refrigerators up and down I-95 in a U-Haul truck. So that's where I am now. I'm driving this U-Haul truck. I am solo as can be, just me in the cab. Ain't nobody else on the back, right? And I'm somewhere up near Baltimore, DC or something. And I'm actually listening to a podcast. I'm listening to like Jeremy Corbyn and Joe Rogan and like a Colonel David Faber, something like that. Right? And it might not have even been those particular guys, but they're talking about some sort of incident. And I don't know who said this, but somebody said something along the lines of like, and I don't even know the context, but it was like, well, just because they're, UFOs doesn't mean they're from outer space. And for whatever reason, that particular line, the thing that beamed into me was, you figured it out. Something along those lines. And I was like, wait, what? And now I'm like, and full body tingles, full body, like hair stand up on my arms. And I was like, figure what out? And, now I'm having a conversation, but I'm not actually speaking to someone, nor am I thinking, but I'm receiving answers. So again, this is, for me, this is very new. And so I had no idea what this was. I'm talking downloading, I guess at this point, right? Or receiving info or whatever. But I immediately kind of go into like a mini panic, and not in a bad way. Cause again, I'm going 75 miles an hour down 95 in a 26-foot U-Haul. So I can't fully panic. And, I'm like, well, what is this? What are you? Who are you? And I keep asking this question. I'm getting no answers. So I'm running through in my head. I'm like, is this like me from the future? Is this me from the past? Is this my dead grandmother? Is this the alien I saw back in 2012? Is this the whoever the hell, Joe Rogan or whoever this guy is talking about it? Like, what is this? Got no answers, but still full body. Like there's a presence with me. And so then I flipped it around. I was like, okay, well, what am I? And immediate answer, like not even time to think. I got the answer, received the download of the word conduit. And I was a history major. I've done a fair amount of reading and writing. I thought I had a pretty good idea of what conduit was, but I still like pulled up my phone. I was like, I got to know. And I like Googled it as I'm like driving down the road. I'm like, conduit. And the first thing that comes up is a vessel for carrying water. Right. And that makes sense. Right. And the next I scroll once more and it says, a conductor of electrical current. And I thought, current, electricity, energy. And then I asked again, what kind of energy? And I received back love. And I sat back, tears started pouring down my face because whatever I just communicated with or was communicating with me just told me I was a conduit of love. And then I laughed and I asked again, I was like, wait, is this thing still here? And then it immediately, because the buzz had gone away. And then as soon as I asked that question, it was like, zzz, like full force, like, oh yeah, like we're here, like almost to the point where it's like in the freaking passenger seat. Like I look over to me, I'm like putting my hand through it. Like, is there a physical thing here? It felt so real. And the last thing I asked was, how do I do it? Like, how do I do it? And immediately the answer was, just be you. And then it went away. And it was, I guess, one more piece of the puzzle in the permission of loving myself fully and leaning into that, or as fully as I ever can in a particular moment. And then allowing through that conduit of love, that love to shine out. And it was actually shortly thereafter that I dove headfirst into the work that I'm doing now, which is this story work. And I started working with addicts in a addiction recovery community, like right out of bond, right out of jail, like some really hardcore stuff. So it was right in around that time frame that I committed to doing that as well. So it's just, I got the chills now. Take out the Condit. I got the chills now, even just. Back to you.
Yeah. You had a couple messages while you were saying that story too. You message to you got out of your own way is what you said. Every time you said that, it like messed in my head. So you got out of your own way is what it was. And you said that a couple times in there. That's interesting too. Oh yeah. And as you have those aha moments and things, again, we call abilities down here become more, they expand. That's a thing. Because often, and I've done hundreds of what they call sessions now. And I'll tell you, it always changes, and it always expands. There's always more. So you have lots of growing room, which is awesome. So because you're open to it. So then just get in your imagination and do it. And hell, know you're doing it, and it happens more. I'm like right now, I'm just chatting with you, but when you start chatting, there's a low hum or ringing in this room, and I have to come up with my own language because we don't have words around here. But you're hitting certain frequencies, and then the terms they do use online would be heart-brain coherence. If you listen to Greg Braden or any of those big brain guys online, know what the heck they're talking about. So they kind of give us some terms, but you hold certain frequencies that help people heal themselves is what it is. That's why I don't even like call myself a healer, because I'm not healing you. You're healing yourself. I'm just affecting the frequencies around you. So then you get back in that state. So because I get the visual, I get to cheat, as I call it. So I get to see.
Yeah, you have no idea how much I wish I had your shit right now.
Yeah, well,
like having the Google Doc middle of some serious session, and it's like, like I don't need to do all the stuff that I do to cut all the steps. It's just, just do this. And, but,
I know. Well,
and I said that halfway in jest, right? I don't want to take anything away from what you're doing. I'm just joking. But
no, I get you. It looks, but so I'll tell you, there's always the counterpart. There's always then overwhelming. I mean, totally. Walk me into Walmart or something like that. Oh my gosh, the stuff I pick, I'll just say, one of my big life lessons, and anybody, and there's nobody here right now, but if they're around me, they would bust out laughing and pointing at me. He needs to learn patience. Okay. And they're talking about me, I'll say, because the patience thing, because when you pull these frequencies, so now when I go out, these entities walking around, they have their own invisible spirit guides around them that we all forget about because we're not seeing them. I get to see them. So they're going to have their little humans right turn Clyde in front of me and have me interact with them or chat with them or this, that, or the other. So it can get a little frustrating from that way too, because, we're seeing visually 10% of our spectrum. And just for ease of conversation, I get to see all the ghosts and goblins and ETs and spirit guides, call it all those different things. Well, that's a lot. And it can be overwhelming sometimes too. And I talk about the patience thing, because when the woo-woo levels, as I'll jokingly call it, know that you're a seer, well, they start putting stuff around and they go, oh, that guy's awake. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's just say I trip over a lot of things because I'm like, oh my gosh, because they want me to chit-chat with, I'll just say their vehicle, that human.
Does your, for lack of a better term, like mood, right? Does your or maybe your vibe, like you wrong side of the day, you haven't been able to talk yourself into a better mood. You just you feel shitty, right?
Yep.
Better, right? Versus the day where you feel freaking awesome, right? Does that change, one, how you perceive, or two, what you perceive? Curiously.
That's an interesting question. Yes, it does. It changes how I perceive, because everything's frequency. So if I'm in a good mood, I'm going to be in that frequency range of 0.1 hertz, which I'll say is love songs. That's that frequency in your heart field, things like that. So yeah, those energy layers or levels of perception of reality, you can call it dimensions, you can call it whatever the heck you want, depending on where you come from. Yes, they get heightened. And I've learned here in the last year or so, and you think I'd have learned it a lot sooner. I got to be vague for a reason. I found myself angry at a person, and in 3D, it would have been anybody hearing the story, and I won't get into it, said legit anger, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say somebody doing bad to somebody else. Oh, I found out that if I sit around, and I wasn't doing it intentionally, but I was in those thoughts in 3D, thinking I'm watching some, ghost story on TV or something, but in my head, I'm thinking, oh, they were making me angry, mad. That again, I got to be vague for a reason. Let me just tell you, that got all the way back around to me, even the next couple of days. Derek, were you doing this, that, and the other? on exactly the minute when my thoughts turn on, I was affecting them. And I wasn't happy about this because I'm not about hurting anybody. Physically had an effect on them, making them physical distress and stuff. And then that goes both ways. So yes, it can all be love and light, but get pissed off, that's a thing too. So I learned that lesson, realizing, okay, no, you don't get to just sit around and have angry thoughts about people. That's something that has an effect, and it really does if you're a Dave, Bill, or Derek sort of one where you're flinging some stuff. So we got to check ourselves. So yes, if I'm in a good mood or bad mood, it does matter, because if I'm in a happy mood and things are going well, I'm more what we would call open. Well, what that does for me when I look off, I see more layers of energy. You can call it, again, I term frequencies. So more stuff comes in, the sprites, the fairies, the etheric beings, stuff like that. Different, and all I can say is energy layers. But yeah, it affects it. So it's yeah. And but also when I learned, because I'm so OCD like you, that when I realized that years ago, I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's just a thought. Well, that means a thought, and blah, 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 blah. I ran with that in my head, and I'm like, well, then. So then one year I found myself in a prison at night, I'm pulling over. I'm like, well, then I should be able to do this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. And I sat down, shut up in my head, and did it. And all of a sudden, the magic powers I'm going to make fun of came on to the unbelievable point. Like I was talking about earlier, I pulled over. So think forest in that area again. I pulled over. I knew it was springtime. There were baby bunnies. Said, imagine myself holding a little baby bunny. All of a sudden, guess what pounces out of the bushes? Over to my running vehicle, by the way. I reach over and pick this little sucker up that I didn't even know was a bunny, because it startled me because its ears were like so short. I'm not a baby bunny guy. It wasn't even my thoughts. I just knew I'm going to have this thought. I go, well, if this is a thing, I should be able to hold this energy. And I went with the story. And that's just one example. But then I would just continue that for years. We're talking decades ago now. The psychic thing. Well, if I'm able to think of my sister or brother and they call me from the blue on the money, well, that's impossible, not possible. I'm telling you, yes, it's possible, where most people say it wouldn't be. So then again, I'm so OCD that once I did that, I'm like, oh, the hell with that. I have no limits. I'm going to do that. And then I started playing with it, because then I went out and just knowing it. I'm just that confident, we'll say. And I'll tell you, there's something to that, as you know, because then all of a sudden you would do it on the money, or I would, blah, 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 the psychic thing. And then I just got the hell over myself and out of the way and just went out running. And then all of a sudden it just gets easier. And I didn't go climb a magic mountaintop. It's not I became a vegetarian or learned yoga pose, whatever. Was it? And I'm not dissing those things, but that's not what it was. So then again, because I'm so blunt, I just say, hey, we can all do it.
Bill, where would you rate yourself on this spectrum as far as your experience with this particular type of thing, man?
I don't have any like UFO stories. Definitely some paranormal stuff has happened to me, but yeah, as far as like, I don't know, being an empath, that's something that resonates with me, and I mean, I do notice other people noticing, when I enter into a room, right, your energy follows you or introduced to you. I've certainly noticed that, and then I just going with the flow of life and letting synchronicities, like following the synchronicities, is really where it led me where I am now. So I know that there is absolutely something to that. So call it synchromysticism or whatever. But I've always been interested in just weird, outside of the mainstream, what you would call like accepted viewpoints, just because I know none of that stuff ever resonated with me. I knew that there was something more. I've always known it since I was a kid. And then so, yeah, just being able to do 13 questions and then meeting people like you and Derek, like, it's just confirmed it for me even more. So I'm just having a ball,
That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Don't accept any limitations either, because I don't. And this crazy world keeps getting more and more crazy. And I mean that in a good way, jokingly. The whole metaphysical thing, the veil is thinning. I hear lots of these terms out there, and yeah, there's something to that. So more people are doing stuff now, from my perspective, because I get to see it. Again, I'm in a unique position to where I don't have to rely on a paycheck. I can say whatever I want. There's no boss man or boss lady out there that's going to stop, and it doesn't affect me. So it is what it is, and then I get to go at it from that perspective, and that's definitely been refreshing. So, and Bill, that's awesome. I'm glad you are following your synchronicities, because we all should, of course. And I do the same thing. In fact, we joke at it around here. Oh, wait, has Derek heard the thing 3 times? And it's usually always in a day. When it takes that long for this fool to wake up, I'm talking about myself, to pay attention. Like, oh, okay. And that's sometimes people straight up just saying a word to me, believe it or not, like randomly out of sentence where they don't even know they're saying it. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of stupid obvious. I mean, so yeah, we're the outside person. I mean, sometimes the human doesn't even know they're saying it. It's that blatant. So it's really weird. And when stuff gets that blatant in your face, and just pay attention and follow it, and it leads you everywhere. Yeah, again, it doesn't have to be a 3 thing, but for me, it tends to be. But yeah, keep expanding. I'm trying to see, I'm getting interrupted on this side. So instead of, was there any other UFO stories, Dave, that you have that you wanted to chat about? That, because you,
yeah,
I can see some, just so you know.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're able and willing and open to receive, I would love to have a little bit of insight or answers for whatever you are able to perceive in regards to what I experienced around 10 years ago.
Yeah, you've actually been what they would call abducted, just so you know. I don't like a lot of these terms kind of thing, but you've been taken on a craft. You've actually interacted physically with these entities. A lot of people haven't. You have. You still do, by the way. You can call it your soul group or so. I don't like, again, I'm always used to these terms. And so you're connected to this group over here. There are good ones, love and light. They're healing. They're really, again, light, I'll just say, rather than denser. And they're not, I'm perceiving them right now. I'm trying to, ooh, that was not the money there. I was just going to make some stupid joke about it. They're not like wearing a name badge that says I'm with this federation, this, that, and the other. But I'm telling you, there's something birdie going on over here. I don't know what that's all about. Why am I even seeing a bird? I'll have to come back to that. Light. So I don't know on that one. It's odd visual. I'll just say it's a group that I haven't seen too often, and I don't have terms for them. They're not from this neighborhood, I'll tell you that. And they're saying all energy. So they're wanting to get chit-chatty. So I don't know what you call them, light beings or something. But they have a physical form. So you should have been family line. You've been with us. He's talking about you. It's a male one now. There's 3 of them. He's been this. They mess with my throat chakra every time I do that. The whole channeling thing. You've been with them before, so it's other lifetimes you're talking about. That soul you're talking about. Oh gosh, I don't have a good analogy for this. You're part of that collective is one thing. It's a good thing. And you're getting in different vehicles. This time you're riding around the Dave vehicle, flinging some energies down here in human form, doing stuff. You're barely containing yourself, just so you know. Because energy-wise, you're a lot more in that vehicle. I think you know that. So I don't know. That's what you're part of. You can ask any specific things you want. They're like flaring up my throat or glands or something. Is why it keeps me touching my throat over there. And that'll happen different ways. I don't have any explanation on this one. I'll tell you, I don't know they've described them avians or avians or something like that. Beings, don't know much about them kind of thing. There's a connection here. And the fact that I'm heating up like 100 degrees just sitting here is, and I don't have terms for that. I needed some crazy physicist in here with a bunch of trinkets measuring the flux in the matrix that happens in here. And I'm going to make fun of it all. But it does happen. It happens physically in here too when I start tuning in. And I'll just say these frequencies that they're pulling. I don't have words for that.
I mean, I've felt while you were talking, I felt up behind my throat, like kind of like like if I was about to eat a warhead or something, like really like super sour, and you can
funny
with that in the back of your throat, and then I definitely.
A lot of it that happens. And remember, I don't have psychic book 15, whatever that is, to read and go to, or some psychic person to chit chat with, because the ones I've seen are kind of limiting themselves. So I need to find somebody who's not real patient, that doesn't have much in the way of limits, because that's a thing too. When we start, when I'm getting at, I'm going to turn to my terms. When I channel information that isn't typically channeled or tuned down here, it has a visual or physical aspect to it. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Remember, I'm not, I don't know, but that is a thing, by the way.
So what I ended up experiencing, just for some context to anybody that listens, is, and I'll do the abbreviated version of this, but I was with a friend of mine and a guy I was working with at the time, Dan. And Dan was a couple years older than me. We were in Southwest Virginia in middle to end of January of 2012. I was in the beginning stages of a 6-7 year financial planning career, and we had gotten the books to this little area that, old accounts that were closed like 4 hours from Richmond, and we were the young hungry guys. So go get them, kid, and give me 10% of whatever you end up selling, right? And so, we took that deal, and we're coming back, and we didn't take a highway to come back. So we're 3.5 hours outside of my hometown. We're heading back home. It's probably 8 p.m. It's dark. It's cold. My phone was dead. Dan's phone, who Dan was driving, I'm in the passenger seat. Dan's phone dropped service from like 3 bars down to blinking within a minute, right? Just like, whoa, dude, my phone's out of juice. And then I remember him saying, I'm going to turn it off in case something bad happens, and we need to use it, right? So Dan turns off his phone, and a minute or two after that, I see like 2 red lights up above, at or above cruising altitude for an airplane, right? And like nowhere near the ground at all whatsoever, like way up, like up in the sky, right? And over the next minute or 2 or 3, my eyes never left those 2 red lights. And Dan's telling whatever story he's telling, and they move jerky, so I start following them, and then very relatively quickly they're at ground level, to the point where now I'm like looking underneath Dan's arm out to his left through a bunch of trees at the red lights, and this is where I bring it to his attention, and I say, dude, do you see those red lights over there? And he's like, what, the cell phone tower? And I was like, no, man, that cell phone tower was just like 30,000 feet up in the air, right? And he says, dude, no way, right? Another 10 seconds go by, and we're driving through the woods now, and we take a banking left turn, and it opens up into a big field. And then like directly in front of us, straight road, half mile, 3/4 of a mile in front of us, directly over the road is this craft, and not like the little, jet ski version of the craft coming off the yacht. This is like the mother craft type situation, like the big one type deal. Perfectly in sight. Dan and I both see it instantly, what is that? What is that? Oh my God. Right. And he's driving. It doesn't move at all in the air. So it's cemented in the sky right over the road. Like just totally didn't move an inch up, down, left, right after I saw it drop from 30,000 some feet. Right. So it's from the time that I see it with my eyes, doesn't move at all. We're driving straight towards it. Dan's like, what do I do? Do I stop? And I said, no, don't stop. And I started to run some scenarios in my head, and I was like, okay, well, and I was never scared, right? But I was shocked and curious, but also didn't feel in danger at all. And I don't know why I didn't stop. I don't know why we didn't just stop, but we drove towards it. Dan started to accelerate because he was like, what's going on, right? So I was like, slow down. And I rolled down the window, and I got him to slow down to like 25 miles an hour. And I wanted to see if there was like an engine, right? And it's, okay, like if there's an engine on this thing, if there's propulsion, if maybe it sounds like a helicopter, maybe I hear like a, like some vortex. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, right? But something, right? And it's nothing. It's like a cool, cold winter day. All I hear is the wind of the car, and we're driving towards this thing, and ultimately we drove directly underneath it, and I just looked up like, oh my God, like hanging out the window, and literally drove directly underneath this thing, maybe 150 feet up. I don't know, vertically, like not far off the road at all. And then kept on driving, and I never lost it out of my sight, and I never stopped looking at it until we went over over the line to where I couldn't see it anymore. And then I kind of slinked back down into my chair and this is really funny, but Dan, like no one said anything for like 10 minutes, neither Dan nor I. And he broke the silence with such a gem, such a comedic gem. He goes, he like starts like rigging the wheel, and he goes, takes a big breath. He goes, well, that changes everything. And, and like lets out a big sigh, and I start dying. And then of course we're like, dude, what was that? Oh my God. Like, you know, and start like actually being able to talk about it. But you know, I don't know whether we lost time. I wasn't tracking that. I don't know any of that stuff, but I've never had any visions or felt or sense that like I was anywhere else other than in the car. But you know, it's funny, at the very beginning, you had said like you had mentioned that you didn't know after you saw what you saw whether you were going to come get visited by like the little like Men in Black dudes or whatever. I had the exact same thought, and I pegged it at like 15% chance. The aliens are visiting me tonight, or the Men in Black dudes are visiting me tonight, and they're going to tell me you better not say anything about anything, right? But you know, that didn't happen. So that's what I experienced, just for some context for listeners and for you. And you know, I guess from a direct question standpoint, you know, why, what, how, right?
Yeah, sure.
And all of the above would be great. So I'm open to it. I'm happy it happened. You know, but yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, as you were telling the story too. So as I kind of warned you at the beginning of our chat, that if you think about something or something like that, in this case, you go back in that memory, I get to see it over here. You're not kidding about the craft. That thing was like massive. By the way. So, and it's so more to the story was, you were, well, I don't like the word abducted, because you agreed on this case, because I get to see things from what we'll call your soul level, to whether the entity driving the Dave vehicle agreed to this experience or not, blah, blah, blah. I get all that as well. I'm not just limited to, Dave, taking in there. So yes, you did. And by the way, when I'm talking about this, my right ear starts to ring. So this is kind of behind the scenes chit chat I'm giving you now. I usually tell people that, but that's also how it works too. It's a frequency and energy thing. The subtle energy, not so subtle in my case, will be on the money instantly. Or I don't have to tell you that either, but here in the 3D environment, I'll call them energy layers, but they'll set, and they'll be at set heights and things. I don't know what to tell you on that one either, but that happens. So I was picking up on all that when you tell the story. And within one of those, again, I'll just say frequency layers for ease of conversation that I get to perceive. When I look at that, by the way, I can expand it. I can also do that to energies that are attached to you, that they like to call karma. I can see where it came from and blah, blah, blah. The storyline in it. Okay. So in the storyline in that one, I saw, yes, you guys were what you would call abducted, but it was an agreement. You agreed to. You were there. You were reminded. So now from the woo-woo perspective, your friends on the ship, and they were friends, they were friendly. You made an agreement with them to help activate you, or I would say in my terms, remind you of who you are and what you are down here, so you can then expand more into that of what you already are.
Just a quick point on that. If I hadn't had seen what I had saw, I would not have been listening to what I was listening to, nor would I have been open to what I received a couple years ago. You know, that message of you are a conduit of love. There's no way I would have even been in tune enough to have that if I didn't see what I saw and then be like, oh shit, like now I know stuff's out here. It's not just like I'd taken astronomy twice just because I thought it was so incredibly interesting. The math on there's got to be something else out there, right? So I'm open to it. You know, that was like it's real. Here's the proof. And then 8-10 years later, it's that was the message that I needed in my mind. Now that I'm connecting the dots backwards to get fully into the work that I'm in.
Full into the work, because you got there logically in your head. Again, they call it heart rate coherence. Then you had a heart chakra activation, and you didn't get into too much, but I know you did because I was watching. You had a big old massive welling up of energy. That was freaking uncontrollable. That would be a heart chakra activation. From my woo-woo terms, you released excess and overage energies from all your lifetimes and let you expand. It's kind of like tight clothing up here in these energy centers that we call chakras. I'm not limited to certain terms, but I have to use ones we understand down here. That's what happened with you. So yeah, now you got growing a whole lot more frequencies will come. I like to look at us as antennas, this physical bodies, and the different chakras as, different frequencies or radio stations. You activated the love one, of course. Well, just by being able to activate that, and it's not, again, a yoga pose, being a vegetarian for 10 years. No, it's getting in your thoughts and feelings, and then you generate those frequencies around you and others in that environment. By the way, we're in an environment remotely, as you know, they call it quantum entanglement. And they ring in my ears. The others can benefit from that. So it's kind of like, helping them, lift the weights to get their own muscles moving. So it's not that you're giving something, but yeah, it's boosting frequencies is a thing. Yeah. And you're also an animal communicator too. So, technically everybody can do that. It's called telepathy. And I'm telling you, you're holding certain frequencies around you that are in alignment with what they would call the nature entities or realms. Again, rough terms to use here, but you are a Dr. Doolittle animal communicator thing. So you got those frequencies. And now you can use that in 3D. You can go, get really close connection with your pets at home, or you can get into animal husbandry or pets, or, people, those frequencies tend to get into those jobs. I'm not saying you need to, but you're holding those frequencies. And when I realized I would go outside, imagine myself happy. And when I did it, I was with somebody at the time, and I walked outside and I'm like, oh, there's little hummingbirds everywhere. Wouldn't it be nice if one stuck my hand up and they landed on my finger, and then they landed on my shoulders? That's what I mean by the Dr. Doolittle thing. Animals pick up on, and I wasn't out there trying to perform, trying to do this. I don't care about all that stuff. I just went out there, got emotional, imagined it happening, and then holy hell, guess what happened? It happened. And that too. So you're pulling those frequencies. So you can really, again, they loosely call them nature energies and things like that. So you got a lot of tools in your toolbox from my perspective. Yeah.
What was there any particular message or reason other than like a openness to future things or expansiveness for pulling Dan and I?
Yeah, it was more about you. I know Dan was there. He was basically, we'll say, put to sleep during it. I know in your memory of it, you guys drove the whole scenario you just said. No, you were accepted, and these are their terms. I'm chatting with them right now. Accepted and invited. I have no idea whether to use those terms. You accepted the invitation, I guess. You went on there. You received an activation, not given anything. I like the term reminded down here, because you're a light entity having a physical experience. You are being reminded that you're not your body. You're a soul, a spirit, call it whatever you want, but you're a light entity. You're like a darker blue, and you exist in your heart chakra, by the way, not this cholesterol sac called a brain that most humans think you live up there. No, you don't. You're down there because I can see you. And you're in that toroidal heart field, a donut shape of energy. That's where we are, driving these vehicles called bodies around. So yeah, you went up there for what we call activation. I call it reminding, because you made, again, weird terms, you made room in your heart space and you imagined more, and that's all you got to do. Then you can become more, and then keep going with the flow, and that's how it goes to really make it easy. So it was a set waypoint in this life that you missed one when you were 16 or 17, by the way. There was some stress, I'll just say drama going on in your life, where you had a chance of waking up. This was another one. You took the opportunity. So again, it depends on your level of understanding the human I'm chatting with. And I have to speak that way for a reason on how I can describe the story to you. But you're a big light entity in a physical body that didn't want to, limit yourself. So now you're getting more into what I call the woo stuff, the energy stuff. And you should, because you're going to have a big effect, I'll say, too. I wish more people realized, like you, wake up that, heck, there is stuff out there and be open to it, even though you can't explain it. You don't know how you're doing it most of the time or why it's happening, but still go with the flow, fake it till you make it, terms like that, and it expands. You don't have to have a language, because I get people coming to my office saying, Derek, I want to be just like you and do blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first of all, no, you don't. It's way too overwhelming. And then I go, well, by the way, you already can. And here's how you kind of do it.
Does that go on the same lines of just be you, or is there an accepting process, or is it like, just lean hard in the direction you're still going? Like, what's the best?
Follow, so like in Bill's terms, follow your synchronicities.
Mhm.
Be you, just don't accept limitations. There's literally nothing anybody has to do. It's what they to stop doing kind of thing. So usually, basically, get out of your own head.
Mhm.
Get out of your own way. So let's say, and I knew a person, somebody named Sylvia Brown. She's passed on, so I know her. We chit chat and others around and kind of thing. I'm like, and I'm such a person. I'm like, well, come on, a psychic thing, whatever that is. And if you can do it, and by then I'd already had the psychic stuff happening, so I already knew it was a thing because my whole childhood, my mom was too. The whole story's in that, but we didn't know the word psychic. I didn't even know that term when I entered the military. I just knew that all of a sudden the military is giving me these big exceptions. Private Condit gets this, that, and the other, and all kinds of things. Don't worry about that because I was already doing the psychic thing. So I just say it's just a realization. And then when you stop limiting yourself, it expands. So I didn't really do anything. Yeah, granted, I get it. Some of us, maybe, let's say let's talk about a running analogy. We can all run or walk. Some of us can maybe run faster than others. I get it. But that doesn't mean we all can't do it. Because I wasn't always this way. Heightened, we'll say. It's expanded.
Does the word run mean anything to you right now?
Run?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. It's come in several times. Run, and well, on that, I'm going to tell you too. That's funny because I was visualizing. I'm an actual runner. My dad's actually an ultra runner, it's called. So he would run 100-mile races. We would do marathons. I'm a triathlete and blah, 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 blah.
I've got 150 under my belt. I've got 150-mile run under my belt. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I do all that stuff too. That's funny.
And for whatever reason, man, when you said you were connecting to like other words, there were synchronicities and stuff. Like,
yeah,
the word run came to me at that moment. So I don't know. That's why I asked.
No, and I'm looking for you, and that's what I'm looking right now. And again, so for this chit chat, I'm gonna give you some of the behind the scenes stuff. I'm usually say when I start heating up, so it's always pings, twings, tinnitus-like symptoms, but again, not just the subtle ringing on the money. And I'm heating on the running thing. I'm going to use my terms, and you were in a visualization over here running, which is why then I started chatting about running. Your comment is hit the floor running is what you have and always done and keep doing it. So that's your comment back to yourself. And these are my terms, so I'm just paraphrasing here. But hit the floor running, don't slow down, and just keep going sort of thing is what you should do. And when I know I'm in alignment on terms, again, I'm down here shaking because I'm starting to physically heat up. And that's a really annoying part, just to be blunt. Don't know why. And I have no idea if the temperature of the room changes. I don't know. But that's a thing too. So that's the stuff where I was chatting to Bill and somebody else the other day, or separately a couple of days. I want a bunch of those trinkets in the room here so we can measure this stuff so they can see it, whatever that is. Because it can be, again, measured. It has to be able to, yeah. So, but running, yeah, keep expanding is what I would say here when I'm watching you. When you ask a question or anybody, I then get a visual over here. And again, for my blunt terms, all I can guess is, because I don't know, is that your higher self is giving me a visualization to translate to the person in front of me. And it changes on the money. So sometimes it's people chit-chatting. I hear the voices, not all the time. I don't know why, but some can get clairaudient things, some visualizations. You're holding your breath over there for some reason. And I'm like, why are you doing that? So I'm telling you now with the energy ring in my ear. So as I'm doing that, I'm tuning in. I'm like, why are you grabbing my attention, Dave? And it looked like you were holding your breath. You were like breathing in really deep. And now you just rang my right ear. So here again, behind the scenes, I'm chit-chatting, heating up. So what do you want to show me? And usually, so you're like, look inside. So you just opened up you have like a jacket on or something. So looking at, I'm going to do, you may feel something here in a moment. I'm going to affect the frequencies around you. I was going to tell you, there's a layer around your heart chakra that you're asking me to remove. And it's not like taking something off of you. It's a blockage is another way of putting it. You had some, I'm going to call it past trauma, drama, stuff in this 3D world that you shut down your heart chakra, is what I'm telling you. You're asking me while we're in this session to help you remove it because you don't need to have those thoughts. Now, you don't have to say anything on this show because you know it's being recorded, but I'm going to remove and here's what I'm watching my terms. No gurus or masters, remember. So what I'm doing, the big Dave over here, is any frequencies or any energies are not in alignment with your higher self and I'm not choosing what those are, we're going to get rid of from all your lifetimes. Oh, that was on your lower back too. And you'd call that your energy body, or kundalini on your back, is what I'm watching heighten over here. And then another perceiver of energy would have said, those are past life karma attachments. That's one way of putting it. To me, it's energy. And you're grabbing my attention, remove it, release it. And you are the perfect example of perfect love here and now. And you have no injury. That was a partial statement from somebody named Richard Bach. I don't know if you know of him or not. He wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. He's a woo-woo like us in the energy things. So what I was saying in that statement there was resetting you to the perfect version of you, whatever that is. On saying a statement like, you're the perfect example of perfect love here and now. You have no injury. Also in that play of words, and you're not going to be lost on you, I said you had no injury. I didn't say anything about you healing. The heck with healing. Who has time for that? I don't, because there's no time. So you're already healed. So basically we're healing. Your energy body's already healed. Your physical body will match that, because those people down here in this 3D world have it backwards. They think, like, if you get an I'll tell you a quick story. So I'm an ex-deep sea diver as well. I'm a commercial deep sea diver. Used to dive off oil rigs, underwater welder, drive little robots, all sorts of crazy stuff. Had a big injury on my hand, a big scar you can't see. Realize this energy stuff, that I'm an energy being, not a physical one. And then, hey, I heard a crazy show, probably on Coast to Coast, saying, well, after 7 years, your skin regenerates and blah, blah, blah. Well, then in my head, I'm like, well, then wait a minute. Well, then why do I have a scar, an injury? So I would sit down, shut up, imagine my aura healed of that scar. So when the skin cells regenerated, they didn't see the scar. I have no scar. That's a thing. And I'm sure there's another way of terming that. If you're a big brain scientist out there, I don't know. I'm telling you from the woo-woo perspective, know that you're not injured. And then I don't care if it's a liver, the big cancer, or a scar from a deep sea diver incident. Those suckers go away. They're not with you forever. You can heal them instantly. All you have to do is have the realization you're not your body. That's the vehicle. And that you're already healed. Never the state of healing. That's not a thing. You don't need to be healing, is what it is. And you're that, by the way. So you're a healer. So I'm just I'm reminding you, because you've had a lot of lifetimes. So you've been around the block. So I'm here to remind you, one energy worker to another, hey, do this, go at that. And then, by the way, you're going to be expanding yourself. So you already knew these things. So again, maybe I'm wording it differently than maybe you've heard or something or other, but you've already played in these frequencies, or you wouldn't be led to heal others, help others, call it whatever you want, but have an effect on others if you weren't able to hold those frequencies.
Right.
So yeah, just a little tip or trick there. Remember, from my perspective, I always say terms like, as Bill knows, I say you're already healed. So when I'm helping somebody heal themselves, for full disclosure, that's what's happening. They're healing themselves. I'm just affecting frequencies. I'm imagining their body or whatever. Let's say, and somebody's yesterday had a liver issue. Well, they don't anymore. I'm like, it's already healed. And then and that's how that goes. And I have stories. Some famous surgeon, I'll make it quickly, came in. Actually, his wife came into my office. She's into the woo-woo stuff, gets in front of the crazy psychic healer guy. I don't know who the heck she is. She moved out. I got lots of clients. Long story short, and she had MS. She had a few things going on with her, diseases. All she had was energy issues that they call diseases. Came back a couple weeks later with her husband in tow. Long story short, he's, again, I don't remember his name now, famous surgeon here locally, doctor, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. What'd you do to my wife? How'd you heal her of this, that, and the other? I'm like, oh, I didn't heal anything. And he said he knows that she had these diseases. One was, again, I think MS, well, neurological big thing she's had her whole life, doesn't anymore. And she told him, he hung up his crazy, I'm going to make up the words here, hung up his hands and blah, 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 did his thing, out of here, but she healed herself. From my perspective, I'm literally just standing there, sitting there. You're here, so you're in front of me. They pop in over here. I don't know, energy form, a ghost-like form, I'll call it. I start working on that one, imagining it, getting excited that it's already healed. That physical body in front of me heals. can't tell you anymore. I wish I could get a big old notepad and tell you the exact things. Like I'm doing this, that, and that. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just getting the hell out of my own way, knowing it's a thing because I've seen it already happen, and just doing it. And then because I come at it from that perspective, and I get to, and you don't have to see them, by the way, but I get to see the little spirit guides and angels and Sasquatch people. That's a thing. Get to see them, and they realize that, and I see them helping. They're ringing my ears right now, and I talk about them. And then I get out of the way and just see everybody getting involved. It's like a team effort. So I just tell you, it's interesting, and I wish I knew more about how it works. That's why I joke about saying, put somebody in here watching so we can figure it out. Because maybe you can, record that frequency or something. I don't know.
Man.
I'm watching you. There's a lady behind me right now, too. Oh, you'll see me respond like that once in a while, too, as I was pausing. She's right behind you, too. That just messed with me. I'm trying to see who that is. It's a female. She's got a lot of stuff in her hair. Like I joke about it, call it bling or bedazzle. And it looks like flowers or ivy or something. I don't know what it's all about, just so you know. But it's like nature looking stuff. And she's behind you. I don't know who she is. So you may, in your physical environment, you may start feeling, I joke about it, call it a glitch in the matrix. You may feel pressures change. That's usually how it starts. And then when you open up to more of it, then when I do my, I've got, this isn't one here, but this is just a little quartz crystal trinket in my office, because it's, I don't know if you know, but I own a whole rock and gem store thing, lots of trinkets in there. And these things change color. So when I do the energy thing and pick up like on the lady behind you there, I don't know how to explain it any more than that, but I'll have different, say, example of quartz crystal tower. It pulls the color out of it instantly. And it does in a different way. It rocks too. So not just crystals. I've had, I don't know, they call it different things, but a Washington serpentine, a green rock, do an energy session. It was a liver on a person, an issue, a lot of liver stuff, issue on a person. I turn around and the rock that was sitting in front of me literally changed colors, not slightly. I mean, it just completely turned colors. And all I can say, the frequency from that stone went in the environment and around the person. Again, I wish I had the education to wrap my head around it and give more understandable terms, but that's a thing as well. That's why I use a lot of this. This is just a sphere of Shungite. It's a mineral from Russia. You may or may not have heard of it. I use a lot of energy tools. I use that one specifically because it's a whole earthing or grounding thing.
Yeah, it absorbs EMFs, right?
Yeah. It has a big effect on the physical frequencies. And I do a lot with bees and stuff. In fact, it's one of the things that ties back to Bill, the synchronicity thing years ago. When I knew, and I didn't have the words, again, I didn't know what the word intuitive, I wasn't into that. I was into other life things, doing stuff, living my life. So I wasn't into the metaphysical aspects. So I didn't even have the language. But when I started doing research and I got on the internet and got this crazy black rock called Shungite was just put in front of me synchronistically so many times, like, okay, magic black rock, okay. I came at it just like that. And then get it in my hands, literally touching it. Boom, the stuff turned on, and also not good stuff, because then all of a sudden I thought I had brain cancer. I had ice pick jabs in the head that felt like that, this, that, and the other. I'll just say energy expansion and movement and things like that, detoxing symptoms, but literally getting that black rock Shungite in my hands which is why I'm such a big proponent of it now and getting it everywhere, and I gift it, because it literally activated or turned me on. What it did was remove excess energies. And then I expanded. So it's not like, ooh, it's a magic rock and it gave me anything. No, it removed the crap energies that were around me and I became more of what I already was. So yeah, it is a big deal thing. And I'm finding out there's a whole lot of other interesting stones, minerals as well that are very useful. But yeah, so I use a lot of Shungite.
I went with my partner Ruslana last month, so middle of July. We went on a 6,600-mile road trip in 3 weeks. So we did a lot of driving, and we went from the East Coast all the way to Utah, South Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, etc. And we did a lot of rock hounding because we too are very into crystals and rocks. And I've got, my corner with all my stuff, and or not. I should not say all my stuff, with like a sliver of my stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But we actually found a a primitive tool. That, I mean, there's no way, shape, or form that it is not a primitive tool, right? But a primitive scraping or like chip tool, and it fits the hand so perfectly. It's got like oil marks of like where the person's hand is. I mean, it's for a righty, a righty with a hand about my size, about as average from a height and hand size standpoint, right? And but it's perfect, and the place that the hand is not looks like bark. It's like not touched at all, and the place that is so smooth and it's sharp on the inside. I mean, it was so cool, man. But just being able to like turn on those connections and turn on the tuning in. I mean, rocks are all over this place. So
there's something to that. That's no joke. In certain ones, and people before I left this store yesterday, a lady came in and she's telling me about this, what rocks, and I don't know. So just so you know, I have like 210 different flavors, I call them, types of rocks on our polished rock table. I mean, it's massive. I can't even fake and pretend to tell you what everyone is for, and this, that, and the other. And I don't have the headspace for that anyway. There's something to that. So I turn on my woo-woo intuition, and I'll tell you, the greater portion of them I've never even heard of, to be honest, Dave. So I'm somebody else ordering them right now, or we're getting types of rocks I didn't even know existed because I'm doing other things. So I'll go out there intuitively, and there's, again, an intestinal issue, we'll just say, or digestive issue. Tune into that. I'm like, okay, well, great. I'm on the spot. So she asked, I'm like, I'll go over to the rock. I forget whichever one it was. It was a malachite or something or other. And I'll pick it. I'll be intuitively led to it. And then, they'll look it up. And often those things, more often than not, they do tie in exactly to that. Mm-hmm. So I'd say listen to your intuition on the rocks and stones, because they have a huge effect. There's some I can pick up. And or now we got to where people come in the store. I heard, one was, I don't have it here. I think I've maybe shown Bill in the past, Egyptian prophecy stone. Had no idea what it was, a crazy black rock with a bunch of weird points on it. You can look it up later if you want. It's a thing stuck in my hand. And they now know, don't tell crazy Derek what it is. They'll just slow me down because I'm usually 100 miles an hour doing stuff. Slow down, crazy guy, put it in my hand and just say, tell me about it. And that's a good thing, because in that moment, I'm not looking at, I perceive, I'll say, well, and what I'm doing for, again, behind the scenes chit chat, I just feel the energies. All of a sudden I feel energy moving in my stomach. Or my stomach will rumble, and I'll feel a whoosh of energy shoot off my feet, blah, 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 blah. And I just then try, that's a mid-chakra level thing. It's earth ground. I'll describe it whatever way. And then, and by the way, the Egyptian prophecy stone, it was an upper chakra, throat, third eye. I'd never seen this rock. And basically my vision heightened by putting it in my hand. So there's no denying what it does from my perspective. And then they look it up. So that's, again, they do boost things. You don't have to have them. But what I'll say is, when you do have them around you, like Shungite's from Russia, Karelia, Russia. That's a no joke stone. Once you have it around you, it moves those buildup of energy. So then you're like stretching. So then you always have it. So I'm not like wearing 20 pendants of the prophecy stone, Merlinite, Shungite, all that. Shungite, yeah. I have Shungite all around me here, even some little crazy elephant figurine somebody sent me for the EMF, because I'm perceiving this reality from the physical, and all this crap. It's intentional, let me tell you. It limits your perception of the metaphysical. It limits your reality. That's a thing. Mm-hmm. So having Shungite around you does help you expand into what I'll just call the metaphysical. Do you have any with you?
I don't, but I'm adding it to my must-have right now.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're open to it, let me send you some. I'll hook you up with a whole gift pack, all kinds of trinkets and goodies. I'll go shopping for you from my store, because we get it directly from Russia itself. Because you want to be careful. Like I was on a show the other day, people are making some fake stuff out there. They're getting charcoal and pushing it together and doing other things. Even some of these figurines, and this one's solid Shungite, but they're making some fake stuff. So at least, and I get it directly from the mine itself, because they know we gift it to the bees. So if you're open to it, send me later behind the scenes your shipping address.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to order something like that off of Amazon or Etsy or something along those lines. So get a made in China tag on the bottom. Like, damn it, I thought this was legit.
Exactly. And it's even better because you're an energy worker. I'm gifting this to you. I don't want any of that money energy attached to this. This is love energy. So coming at it from that, absolutely. Well, then I know that tool is used in such, so that everything's frequency. So I know that those tools work better that way. So that's why we have something called the Shungite grid. I literally have a place on mysticalwars.com where people can go anywhere on the planet for free, request Shungite nuggets, and I'll go out in the mountains or forest or whatever and gift it to nature. It's called Shungite gridding. It's boosting the energy of the environment, and we all benefit. So yeah, I'm literally taking a Shungite that can get expensive, throwing it in the lakes, the rivers, the streams, tucking it in the tree bark, doing different places because it has an effect physically on the environment. And all those scientific studies are on our website too, by the way. So if somebody wants to look at it from just the 3D perspective, go to our Shungite FAQ page, look at the dozens of scientific studies, not me in my garage doing it, by the way, where they have fed Shungite powder to rats and tripled their lifespan. It's all about the carbon-60 molecule. Don't worry about the science. And again, all scientifically proven, rats die of cancer. Cancer, the carbon-60 molecule, the little buckyball it's called, got in there and healed themselves. We're using it in different forms, from Shungite honey to Shungite rubber, but it moves energy. Even on plants, your plants will grow like tenfold. And I've done lots of studies on that too. And again, this has all been scientifically proven. Even glyphosate, Roundup weed killer, removes it. Scientifically proven. You can put Shungite powder in your garden. It's going to take care, and radiation, by the way. So they call them rad particles. Again, this isn't woo-woo science. Ooh, crazy guy, Derek, and psychic got a conversation. No, these are, again, documented studies, and we put the studies on the site. And there's more. I'll stop with the boring you part. But on the science level, not that you need that proof, but that's already out there on Shungite. It's straight up, a miraculous mineral on this planet. But it's all about the carbon molecule. It's a little buckyball, it's called. And then from the metaphysical perspective, which excites me, having those little buckyballs around you, yeah, they're just embedded in this piece of Shungite. They're antennas. I'll tell you from the woo-woo perspective, get a piece of Shungite in your energy field or biofield. I'm looking at mine here, your aura. I'm an old guy, so I used to have rabbit ear antennas with aluminum foil on there. This is kind of like that analogy. You put aluminum, that's your metaphysical aluminum foil that will help you tune the metaphysical frequencies. And I'll tell you, your perception of this reality can heighten a whole lot more. And I have no idea if it's just a Shungite thing. I'm just telling you, it is one of the things that will do that. And there's lots of uses. So I've gone crazy in a joking way the last few years with Shungite, lip balm, skin balm. So if you're activating chakras, you can actually draw this with organic beeswax with little Shungite particles embedded in it on your kundalini, your certain chakra points, or whatever, whatever the person's understanding is. And on the physical level, yeah, if you got a hurt, injury, muscle cramp, ache, pain, broken bone, put that on there, you're going to heal just phenomenally quicker too. And that's what's shown. So it's just a miraculous energy tool is how I term Shungite. And it can be used in lots of ways.
And you said it comes from Russia?
Karelia, Russia. One spot on the planet. There's other versions of this type of mineral, like in China or other places, but the makeup of it, I'll say the recipe, the percentages of the buckyball or fullerene, the magic molecule, is different. It's in Russia, up near Finland. It's called Karelia.
There's a compound, I don't know whether you're familiar with Shilajit.
I'm very familiar.
Very familiar. Yeah. It's for some reason Shungite and Shilajit are drawing very similar comparisons, right?
Do I have a jar? It's probably my other desk. I have a jar of the Shilajit that was sent to me from actually a Russian scientist, I believe. I was led to put it actually on Shungite. So for those, if this gets published later, it's a little black tarry-like substance Dave and I are talking about. And it's basically, think the stuff found up on the deep mountains, in the nooks and crannies. It's really old minerals. Frequencies. Remember, from the energy perspective, Shilajit is frequencies that aren't often in our environment nowadays. So yes, if you get a little bit of Shilajit, yes, it can go in your mouth or on your skin. I've done that. It just gets pulled straight in.
That's good because it doesn't taste very good.
It tastes like crap. It tastes like crap.
I might start doing the skin absorption.
Good, yeah, because it's tacky and tarry, as you know. Oh yeah, and I'm sure Bill's familiar with it too. But it's yeah. So it can be done energetically. Just have it in your environment. If you look at it from the energy perspective, and I'm going to joke here, why would you need to swallow this sucker? You wouldn't need to, or Shilajit. It's in your energy field. So turn that understanding on in your imagination. It's a thing. So that's how you do it too. Yeah. So, but I'm also not saying you don't have to eat it. Eat a little bit of it, but just a little tiny bit. Just like we make Shungite honey, I have organic honey. You always wanted organic, of course. Shungite powder in there, blend it up. That's a supplement, not lathering your toast with this honey. Just dab your finger in there, put a little bit under your tongue because there's a little chakra point there too. See it as an energy supplement, any of these things, be it Shilajit or Shungite honey. And then that's what it is, because your imagination is that other 90% of reality.
Totally.
So decide. Oh, yeah. That's funny you brought up that Shilajit, because yes, I have a few jars in different places. I've got whole microscopes. I'm a trinket guy. I like to buy the trinkets and things. So I'll put it under a microscope, hold a little silver bar next to it, some Shungite, fling my crazy invisible energies at it. I'll do that crazy stuff just to see a response. And by the way, I get responses. I did it on graphene, I think it was, when it was coming out with that whole drama. I won't say certain words in case we have issues with it later. I put that on a microscope, flung some energies. That stuff lit up like it was, and it's all on video. All that Christmas tree, and that's a whole different topic on that one. But I'll just say the woo-woo metaphysical energies have an effect on these things, and the boys out there that think they're in charge of this place know it too. So I have a lot of fun with that stuff. So yeah, Sheila, just I would suggest dabbing a little bit of your finger right here. You can think throat chakra, whatever, but stab a little bit there. You're going to see a difference.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. I would a suggestion for you would be drinking. You're gonna have trouble seeing it maybe, but I'm gonna hold up the camera anyway. And what you're seeing out in there is 3 little Shungite beads wound around pure silver wire. We call them Shungite water beads, I think. If you're scientists, you can call it structured water, living water, M-state water. You've probably heard all this. Mr. Moto talks about blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that stuff. Homeopathy. Shungite water, dropping it in your water will attune that water, and you drink it, and it builds you from the inside out. So this is, again, a personal message for you, because that's a big energy vehicle. Yeah, start building it with the good stuff inside out, living water, especially Shungite water. You're going to heighten. And that's how I did it as well. And then all the energies you start working become stronger.
I within the past week, I started using Soleil water.
Okay.
Which is basically take a jar and fill it a quarter of the way up with the highest quality sea salt that you can find.
Yeah.
I use Redmond sea salt, and shake, let it dissolve, and add a teaspoon to your water, and it's now much more mineralized, alive again than it was before.
It got the scientists will say you got the orgone energy moving around that water there. Yep. And now your body identifies that as water, and it's science facts. You'll now absorb, say, 90% of what you drank and pee out 10. If you didn't do something to your water, tell it you love it, put Shungite in it, or do what you're saying, it would have been reverse numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's well worth doing. You can imagine anything. I've been playing around. Actually, I shouldn't put too much out. Playing around with magnetite too. I wouldn't suggest drinking magnetite water to anybody, by the way. But that does have an effect on, and I'm not saying that's going to hurt you, but only do it if you're led to do it. We'll put it that way, because it's really nauseating. It's a thing. There's a whole lot of frequencies in there, so it's not for the lighthearted, we'll say. But Shungite water is. It's just beneficial for everybody, animals too, and you'll see the difference. You can put in your cat bowl, water bowl, a horse. We've done it all. And they even if they don't see the crazy piece of Shungite going in there, they perceive the energy in that water somehow, and they know it. So that's a thing as well.
I have a Shungite water bottle with a piece in it that I carry around. It's right here, actually. I don't know if it'll be on video or not, but even my niece, when she's 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and when I come over and visit, I'll have my water bottle with me, and she always asks to take a drink of it, either mine or my wife's, because she's got the same bottle with Shungite in it. She always wants a drink of our water for some reason.
She knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in my office too. Again, I'm not in my office. I'm at home office now, but my office there, I have a little pitcher of water. So when I do sessions with the couch across from me, everything's just like across. So I'm giving water in just a cup like this, and there's Shungite nuggets in there. People suck down that water like they are dehydrated and never drank in their lives. And it is like, it's an ongoing joke. It's literally almost every person, especially when they're new. What kind of water is that? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. Even in our water fountain out there in the store, because I have a classroom area too, in the bottom, there's a glass carafe, because I'm not big on plastic. So I look at all kinds of aspects of things. They're Shungite, and they don't see it. It's in an enclosed container, and they'll line up there and drink from that. And I'll hear comments, and I'll just smile as I'm walking by. I can't believe it. And watch some like 15, 14-year-old girls sometimes come in the shop just to buy the little crystals. I don't know what it is about this water. I mean, to where it's like, come on, did you just say that because I was walking by? Some little teenagers, they're not walking by. And they don't know who Crazy Derek is because these are maybe new customers. I look at it from lots of angles. They try, it's not, it's a thing. And because I'm in such a unique position and on my sessions, and people don't know, because I don't sit down and give them a 20-minute spiel on Shungite. That's not what it's about. It's their psychic reading or whatever the thing is. And always they pick up on that water. And I just watch their energy. So again, behind the scenes chit chat. Let's say we're having a session. I'm seeing Dave drinking his water. I see him drinking the session. I then get to see their aura become what I'm going to term more cohesive or less tight. That's the best I can describe it. It moves easier. And then I get to see the little human version in front of me calm down, relax. And their aura expands literally while they're drinking Shungite water. So I'm perceiving all this from watching it. And then they're getting into their questions or talk about the past loved one who I want to chat with, whatever the thing is, however they were led to come see me, or it was a healing thing. But remember, always behind the scenes, because that's just say I'm a multitasker. I've got multiple layers of thoughts going on. So I'm watching from the energy perspective just to see what's going on. And then there's a plate of just a wooden bowl on the same coffee table between us with some Shungite nuggets. There's a little silver bar in there of a few grams, gaspiites, which is another mineral, a type of copper. It was right in my ear. That I'll watch, and if they reach out and touch them, they'll grab them because they know if you're led to grab something, just grab it. There's a reason, and I'm not like sitting there describing it. And always they'll grab gaspiites, a green rock. We'll just say it's a type of copper. They'll grab that. You know what's going to come out of their mouth in 10 seconds. I got a tummy problem. I came in because of this, that, and the other. When you see this just hundreds of times, and there's not somebody outside my store saying, tell the crazy guy this, mention that, and the other. When they come into sessions, again, I get to see it from that removed perspective. This world is amazing, Dave. Stay open to it. Don't ever limit yourself. It is freaking unbelievable is all I can say. And again, I get out of my way and just sit down and proceed. And then it's just, again, like I talked in the beginning, if there was a camera around me and in the store, they think it was CGI, the stuff happening or the comments made. So just realize that because you got a lot of expansion that you can do. So I'm basically encouraging you, saying it's awesome to see somebody like you.
I appreciate it, man. And yesterday I had one of the best days of my professional career. Actually, the best day of my professional career. My business partner and I opened or got a yes from a very very huge opportunity to make an impact in the corporate wellness space with a company locally with like good heart centered people. And like, we have the opportunity to make wellness a central feature of this particular company. And it is a really profound opportunity. And to hear that be reflected back, the step into that expansion, because it does feel like a big step and level up. And yet I feel entirely capable and ready for that step. And finally me feeling that way allowed that step to occur. And so then having that reflected back in this moment, so close to that, hey, buddy, you got an expansion coming, and that's a good thing. Like that's so cool to hear, because I know I do. And at least in that very small sliver of context.
It's going to affect your whole life. And I'm not shy too. So anybody that knows me, Andrew or Bill, and if it was another thing, pulling in of energies, you got some drama, some stuff happening, I'll tell you that too. I'll tell you any which way. I just remember I have to go at it that way. So just so you have a bigger perspective, I would have gone either way, and that's what's happening. Stay open. You're going to get, because she keeps doing it to I'll just, again, call it female guide behind you. She's basically telling me to pay attention. You're going to get tingling on your neck. So what I'm saying is when you get more of that, she says she's already been doing it, and your left ear, more ringing in your ear, she's saying, you're going to call it tinnitus, like symptoms. Then when you feel that, that's her getting in your auric field around you. So now how that is a way to use, because, what fun is that? Oh, okay, crazy spirit guide, get my attention. Well, then what I would, and the next thought would be, okay, are there any messages? Kind of maybe think that. And then how they come through is in your imagination. Because some people go, well, I asked for the messages, but I don't hear anything. I'm like, you're not a clairaudience. Why are you trying to hear? Don't do it. Yeah. I'm like, get in your freaking imagination. It's something's going to occur to you, an aha moment or an oh shit moment, depending on how you see it, but pay attention. So basically what I'm also saying, so she gives you lots of messages the way, because you are an intuitive. You don't see yourself as that. She says you are. If you start seeing yourself more as that, not just love energy, this muscle, I'm calling them muscles, you're not focusing enough on that one. This is your message. You're going to get more input. You feel the subtle energies. You're just not applying them to the metaphysical. The whooshes, the weird tingles, the shivers. So I'm saying when you feel that tingling or whatever, however you feel in the back of your neck, slow down in your headspace in that moment and go, I feel you. And nobody has to know you're actually doing it because you can keep it all in your head. And then be open, because that's when you get those messages. And when I started doing that, they start coming in more. Because now think, well, hell, he's paying attention now. Maybe I'll start chatting with him. That's a thing. It really is. And then you'll get more of those messages. They're leaving them around. I don't know what they're saying about that. She's saying we're leaving them around. And it's like, now if I go energy-wise, in your environment, and they're about, it doesn't matter where they're at, a few feet off the ground, energy bubbles, I'll just say for term of another use, you walk into them and have epiphanies, aha moments. So I'm just telling you, that's one way of describing how it works. So be open to those is what it is. And you're leaving them for yourself. So if I zoom out a little bit and go on the higher perspective level, that entity, the one driving that vehicle called Dave around, wants to wake up more in this reality and do more stuff. That's a thing too. Just be open to that. You're gonna have a heck of a ride. It's interesting. You're a communicator too. I just say communicator. They'll say medium channel. You're gonna have imagination's real, imaginary real thoughts of entities talking to you. And that's so you already get that. You already have, by the way. Now the problem is differentiating that from, was that just my imagination or this, that? And I get it. That's the headspace. It's hard. But so what I'm going to tell you, don't worry about it. Who cares? It's about the information coming in. So I would suggest, because I never tell people what to do, imagine chatting to yourself, no gurus or masters floating around on big gold thrones or whatever the scenario is in 3D reality, but they tell you, chat with your higher self and be open to that. And then the aha moments come in quicker is how it works too. Because you're connected. You definitely are.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate you even being open to this stuff, because again, you're moving some space and energies. So it's good from my perspective, another energy worker, that you're, again, we'll just say playing love songs. Because if you're out there having a big effect, we want positive energies and frequencies. We have enough a-holes out there causing problems. You know that. Yeah. So we need an actual energy person like you who you're also one of those that didn't even know you were doing this. So most of your life, you didn't think it was possible, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't even a thing. So hang on, you're chatting with me right now because you're expanding in the headspace, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have ahas, epiphanies, moments. You're going to have realizations, I'm going to say, that you can, because you are one of those that, maybe you've limited yourself. I'll tell you, get the heck out of your own way and just do it. That's a better way of putting it. Okay. So just do that. Hit the floor running. You're like that kid you're not a kid that jumped on the bike with training wheels. I'm going to say, quit looking at the training wheels. And all of a sudden you're going to realize you're not only not touching the ground with the training wheels, you're riding a freaking wheelie. You can just do it. Again, fake it till you make it. Know it's happening. I don't care what it is. That's a thing. And especially for somebody like you. So I would just go at the floor, running. Yeah, that's interesting. Your part, and I didn't get her name, but your partner's name?
Ruslana.
Ruslana?
Ruslana. Ruslana. Ruslana.
There we go. I'm just writing it down. Ruslana. That's interesting too, because she's come in a couple of times to nature, healing. She's got. Now, I don't know how it works, so I didn't know I was going to do that. I'm heating up again. That's why I see me like going like this. And she comes in. I'll just give you the visual. She's standing there. She's got all kinds of little butterflies and fairies and stuff floating around or flying around her. So that's going on, and I don't always see that. So from the woo-woo metaphysical perspective, actually ties into a book I was thinking about earlier, Anastasia.
Anastasia.
Yeah, the ringing cedars. I think that's what it is. I don't even. There's books on there, but that's that whole feel or frequencies or energy. So if you Google it, I think it's the ringing cedars or something like that. It's actually a Russian book, like nine of them or something. Oh, she rang my ear. So that's that whole frequency range she's in. So she's really good for you. I'll tell you that. She's keeps you calm. She's saying, yeah, he needs it. I'm like, oh, okay, I get you. High energy. Oh yeah. So, and that's a good thing too. I keep moving. She want to get. She's an intuitive, a big intuitive, by the way. Highly intuitive. In fact, I don't have. I don't even tell you this one, and I'm only wanting to bring it up because I don't really have a way to tell you. I'm just going to show you. I got some weird little doll thing here, and this isn't. I'm only showing you for a reason. It's still Sasquatch, so it's a little Bigfoot doll that somebody bought me and sitting here on the table. I'm only using it as a visual aid. She's standing over here, but there's her behind her chatting. It's another aspect of herself, I'll say, I guess that's one way of putting it. And I'm only bringing it up because I don't fully understand it. And when I do tune into her, I really heat up physically. And I turn that as like my high def channels. Again, I'm giving you a lot of behind the scenes chit chat here. So she's a big player, is what I'm telling you. Big culturally connected too kind of thing. Soothing. She says I soothe. It's soothing her love. Huh. So yeah, very good combination of energies there. I my terms, I call them kindred spirits. There's lots of individuals. This is you, this is them that are in alignment kind of thing. Yeah, you're in alignment. Mm-hmm. You hold a lot of the same frequencies. And she brings up the ones behind him. She says behind you. I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. So bring up the ones behind him. And now I'm going to use my paraphrasing terms, supporting, holding space, and these are my terms, holding space and clearing space for you, the mover sort of thing is what she's doing. So I'm watching a little hazy video, and then not that it's a session, but my job as a woo is to somehow try and describe that kind of thing. And she's laughing at me right now, so I'll tell you that too. She's not real impressed with my descriptions, but I'm getting the gist across, I guess. And that's I get literally just seeing entity over laughing is what goes on. I don't have to, and she's a big flowy robe type thing. And I never know what to tell the person in front of me that ties on the synchronicities because I'm like psychically reading you. I'm perceiving an entity out of space and time that is also having an experience living down here, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what's going on. She says I'm not me, her. She says I'm more. I don't know what she's trying to tell me on that one. I'll stay over to that one. She's more. She's got a whole little. I don't know what a sprite is. I don't know these terms down here, but little fairies, little sprites, little forest creatures and things, they're all around her. I can tell you that part of it too. And usually it depends on who's in front of me to understand. And if they're too stuck in 3D and then all the terms, they'll say, nature energies. Okay, that's a way of saying it. Yeah. So, and she's still got herbs. I'm going to say herbs because she's got small amounts of them. So she's not like pulling up a big old pine tree. It's herbs, plant medicine. Things like that is what she's got over here. She's throwing them in something. So I'm literally watching. You would call it, okay, if I back up and I'm talking to some other crazy psychic, I'm watching a past life. It's not a past life. I'm not limited. It's a concurrent life. I'm perceiving you in another reality in space and time. That's a thing. And again, I just have to go quickly on these descriptions. But I'm out of place, she says. She's making comments like she doesn't feel like she's supposed to be here, but she's here and stuff like that. And she'll help out. So I don't know. That's some of my crazy reality on how that happens. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. I don't know if you had any questions on anything. You probably didn't even know what you were getting into.
I didn't, and it's been thrilling and very insightful, to be quite honest with you, man. Not only with my partner Ruslana, but I mean, she's light and fairy and happy and laughs constantly, and it's just like she's one with nature and plants and all. And I mean, it's like you had to have looked at her Instagram bio before we got on this call type nailing this. But what's really interesting about Ruslana is she has been very in tune with herself and in her past lives and her ancestors and her spirits. And she was a death doula to her grandmother this year, and received another huge, like, lifetime worth of downloads from her physically when she passed. And that has just been even more turned on as she's trying to explain this to the world through her book. So it's
she's doing a book. She was her I can't get too much of that. She was kind of her grandma. I'll say there's a multiple things. Okay.
So wait, say that one more time.
She was her grandma. She is her grandma.
So she was actually born on the same day as my grandmother as well.
Okay. Well, there's a reason. There's no randomness. It's all synchronicities. Okay. She's in your chat with me right now. Grandma basically, and again, I'm not a blunt guy. When grandma popped out, left, left the vehicle sort of thing, she walked right into the back of Ruslana. So it's the same. She, it helped expand it, added the frequency. I say, she downloaded grandma's songs from her playlist. I like to use terms like that because it gives you a good visual. That's the thing. So it's a stacking of songs or energies or understandings in a playlist. And yes, her family does that, by the way. Big time rocks and minerals. She should be definitely playing with rocks, minerals, crystals, all that kind of stuff. That is in alignment with her higher self, is what I say. So that's the way that she'd be. She's looking at you. He needs to work on his throat. And there was, so also because we're just being casually or comfortable and it's not a session thing, I can say whatever. She's going to take advantage in a good way of passing messages to the crazy channel guy. And it's removing. One way of putting it is speaking your truth sort of thing. You've been limiting yourself. Don't do it because you're causing a chakra buildup around your throat. Okay. And you have a parathyroid issue. So your parathyroid issue, your medical doctor today is going to tell you have high calcium and low magnesium. We're going to fix that right now. And it's your bottom left. I don't even know. You have thyroid, you have parathyroid as well. Just a little tiny gland in your throat. So we're going to get that out of there, right? Not the gland, the excess energy that was limiting it. And it can go very fast too, by the way. So she's basically in a good way taking advantage of this environment we're in to remove that throat blockage is what it is. And those come from lots of things. There's a whole past life thing on yours here, just so you know, on that. So when you get in front of some crazy guy, we can remove it like we're doing now, because we'll just say you've lost your head before. If you know what I'm talking about here. So that kind of stuff has happened. Okay.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah. So, and then you have another life, and basically you get to have energy issues here until you either realize it or, move those energies. Lots of ways of describing this stuff. But yeah, no, you should be. You're a seer and a feeler, both. So yeah, use your tools. That's it. You're in a good job, by the way. Yeah, I know.
One thing that popped up here is I've always had like a rebellious nature. I've never liked authority in any way, shape, or form. I've always wanted to play the devil's advocate. Part of that is from more nurture. My father is a defense attorney, and so he always sees like what could go wrong, and so I'm always playing that devil's advocate side of things, right? But at the same time, like the rebellious side of me, I've always very much identified with that rebellious adventure and going against the status quo, which is why I think I was led to the loving energy work, because that's opposite of what the world is in so many ways at this particular point in time, even though it is all still love, right? So I guess the last question that kind of popped in my head was what, if anything, does that tell or say about where I'm at or what I should be looking for?
You, and on that, when people ask, okay, so that's good, looking for sort of thing. So some people believe that you have a set, and you're not saying this, but some people are, I have a set path or chart or thing. I'm going to be guaranteed to do. BS, not a thing. It doesn't work that way. You have a general direction. Let's say head that way, and there's lots of ways to get there or paths you can take. Okay, so you have lots of room to grow. You're doing fine. Your reason for this incarnation or this lifetime is, in my terms, to realize that you don't have limits. You're not a big acceptor of that. So yes, in 3D, you're not big on saying, well, wait, you only get 2 hours of TV or this much food or whatever the thing is. So you always pushed against all of that kind of stuff, because you're supposed to push past those limits in this lifetime. Again, that's why I made comments to you like, just know it's a thing and it will be. Fake it till you make it. I've said that a few times because you can already do it. I didn't say you need to learn. Again, you need to reach psychic level 5, Dave, whatever that is. I'm making it up before you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, damn it, hit the floor, run in and just do it. And you got, again, in front of crazy me, and you got hooked up with Bill for a reason because we knew Bill would be the only way that we would all connect, sort of thing. However that all played out in this scenario lifetime, it's about you just doing more. So you don't have a whole lot to learn. It's more remember. Because I'll tell you, when I look, you've had a whole lot of past lives, and it's not like a number I can put on it. It doesn't quite work that way either. But you've had a lot of past lives or experiences. Now you're in this lifetime just to remember that. So just you're like a teacher in kindergarten down here. So I'm going to also be blunt to you. Most human, and I turn this way for a reason, humans are going to seem like maybe 5th graders to you. And it's going to be frustrating as hell. You go, why are you not thinking blah, 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 blah. And sometimes people from your position think, well, I'm supposed to be down here to wake up all these 5th graders and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. Right. You're here to be the aware individual, just to show, hold space, tournament, things like that, be the example. And then they'll have their aha moments within that is how it works. So yeah, you've had a lot of lives. You're like, again, I'll say a college kid back in middle school at best. And sometimes we call it like these humans around us are NPCs or non-player characters. Again, lots of ways of describing this. And that's not dissing anybody, because at any time, anybody can wake up and realize there's more. But you're one of those that already came in aware. And that's why, again, you haven't mentioned it, but I know you have OCD. And I'm not saying you got to go clean everything and you're like the clean fanatic. But OCD as in multiple thoughts, and you have an occurrence or an aha moment, and then that means this, and this means that. Most people don't keep those connections going. So you do. So your purpose is not is to continually expand is what it is. And then within that is all everything. So it's not like, oh, Dave Robinson is meant to do 1, 2, and 3. And again, you're not asking that anyway. But I'll say you're a chef, not a fry cook, if you know what I mean. So, okay, good. Don't just go to the fry station. You're a chef. Get in the kitchen this lifetime and do it all. And if that means you got some person you're chatting with and you're used to working from the mind and soul and emotional healing levels, but maybe you haven't gotten into physical stuff, yes, you are. You already are. Nothing you need to learn. Just do it. And then you can expand into it, kind of thing. So just heck, Nike, just do it. You're one of those. You already have the energies or frequencies. So, and again, it's not a set recipe you have to follow. Play with those energies on yourself. I did it when I first started. I almost was short up in the mountains here because I live in the Cascade Mountains. Fell off some rocks with my dog. I had to have broken the knee. There was no getting up from that. Couldn't get out. I knew that was all she wrote. Sat down, did the invisible energy thing on myself. Literally 2 minutes later, stood up, walked off with no injury. Nobody around to see it, and I'm not vested, so I don't care if anybody believes me or not, but that happened. That was the thing. Once I realized that, I got the hell out of my own way and did it. And then so I'm just telling you, just one woo-woo guy to another, just know those are things. Even if it's just some crazy story that you hear from me now, or you did your whatever thing in the past, if you've done it once, even if it's just a psychic thing, guessing what song was on the radio, it doesn't matter. You've already done it. So just go with the flow. Just keep doing it. And no, because often people say, well, teach me this. I'm like, nothing you have to be taught. It's an understanding. And as your understanding of this reality expands, the abilities turn on. That's how it really works.
Totally.
So yeah, it really is. It's everything's understandings. Yeah. So, and you've got all the abilities, air quotes here. Now it's for you just to put the parts and pieces together in your head and go, well, what do you mean? Of course I can do that. Well, of course, blah, blah, and then just do it. And then you're going to have those, what I call oh shit moments. You go, oh shit, I just did that. And that's a good thing. Yeah, exactly. And that's where the fun in this life happens too.
Amen to that, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of fun. Bill, was there anything we were gonna. I don't know if we didn't have any real direction on this, did we? We were just
No,
gonna.
not really. We're just gonna chat. I did have a question that is show related, is 13 questions related. We've been doing a gratitude jar working recently, and this ties into minerals and crystals and gems because I've been each episode for our intros, I'll take one crystal. I've got some Shangan quartz here, for example. It's purple, and I haven't looked this one up yet, but I've got some encyclopedias here, and I'll read about their metaphysical characteristics, right, for our intro. And I've got it placed on a green cloth, and a jar is next to the crystals. And since we're value for value, anybody, that means we don't have a paywall or anything, right? So anybody that donates to the show or supports it for whatever amount, for any amount of time, I'll write their name in purple ink and put it in the jar. So knowing how like the Shungite grid works, because this is kind of where I was inspired to do it, and how quantum entanglement is a thing, would people be able to then, I don't know, benefit from, or if they choose to, like, tap into these different frequencies that the stones carry? Is that
They can, yeah, they can. We do that, and of course, I know you know about our scalar system.
Yeah.
So we have a frequency system, Dave. If you're interested, there's more stuff on the website you can look at later. But we have a quantum entanglement, a scalar energy system. We put people's names on every week, and we do free sessions for anybody where you can heal them. And that's, yes, we call it quantum entanglement, and we're all connected. But so in answer to your question, Bill, is yes, they can. So let's say, and this is just a little crystal cluster, quartz crystal, and there's a certain frequency in here, or if this is a rock, the only limitation would be the headspace of the person on the other end. So if they sit there and believe I'm not going to, then no, it's not going to connect. Because technically, to be literal, you don't need the physical trinkets. Not a thing. You don't need, and yeah, I sell Shungite, but I'll tell you straight up too, because I'm a full disclosure guy. You do not need the physical item. You can imagine it. Now, yeah, the physical items helps because it, gets you vested in holding on to it, and it's sometimes easier, but you don't need it. So it's really an understanding limitation on the people in listening to your show, Bill. So if they already come at it going, well, of course I can be connected because Bill's going to put my name on them, boom, 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 then yep, it's going to have a huge effect on them. More of an effect than somebody saying, okay, yeah, this is going to work, Bill, and that kind of stuff. So it's really a push and pull.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I had kind of figured out. But since we brought up the Shungite grid, I thought I'd clarify it here just to make sure that what I've done so far is collect stones or crystals or gems of the violet ray. So purple has been like a synchronicity for me. That led me to Grimerica, which led me to this show, which led me to my wife. Like, it's been this huge thing for me. So I'm just kind of like, and I collect stones too, right, Derek? I'm a stone gem fan, and I just need some way to like share with other people. And so I just figured, as a benefit of anybody that supported the show, I could do this for anybody that was into it or if it resonated with them. So that's awesome, because you're basically playing a song in an environment, a frequency in their environment, and they can choose to have access to it or not. So I'm sitting here, behind the scenes here, a little fat lepidolite hippo, something. So it's a frequency thing. And he's purple, and I'm playing off of that there. And if they know about that guy's sitting there, yes, they'll be quantum entangled with it, and you can benefit from the frequency. So yeah, it really just depends, again, on the level of their understanding. Right.
Not that you need to know the science behind it. You don't have to take physics 101 to get it. That's not what I'm saying. Again, just to the level of understanding where, well, yeah, I'm connected remotely because I can think about mom or dad on the other side of the planet and get all excited and emotional and get lovey-dovey. Well, that's a thing too. So just keep applying that. And yeah, so you definitely have an effect is what I'm saying. So that's awesome. You're doing that.
Cool. And I do have a piece of Shungite next to it too. So it's the one that you gave me with the, I'll show.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, the Shungite copper tree one. Yeah.
I've got a little jade ram hanging up here, a little ornament.
I did do the same thing. So it's hard to see in that day, but what he's got is a Shungite sphere like this one. And then I have a guy that just wraps a copper tree around it. Now that's science too, because that's an energy device. Mm-hmm. Copper moves, of course, there. Oh yeah, and the lepidolite heart. Okay, nice. And that's a copper tree heart in that. Yes, it's pretty and visually attractiveness that to some people, but on the woo-woo energy level, that sucker's moving. It's like an etheric fan. It grabs the orgone energy and keeps it moving. And then how you like flavor that energy, we'll say, is with your emotions and imagination. And if people realize that that's how it works, you can really have an effect.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. We've only just started doing it. I forget. I know, Dave, you have a stone on your intro. I forget which one. So sorry, I should have looked it up before we chatted. But yeah, it's fun. I think I'll continue to do it, and we'll see what happens. It's because it's working, right? It's like an experiment. We'll just see what happens. A lot of people like to say like you can do different spells with jars too. Like people like magic, woo woo, like all terminologies, but it's all you can think of it like an experiment. It's a thing in progress, and it's just a love generator is one way I had explained it on an intro one time. But yeah, so most of them
are all real. That stuff's all real. It's all energy, all frequency. Again, wherever you zoom in on the image or understanding.
Yeah. And I found I don't know why purple speaks to me so much, but I've learned that it corresponds to your chakras up here, the higher level ones, right?
Yeah, you have an 8th one start activated on you. They'll tell you, some people say, you got 7 chakras. BS. You got countless chakras. They're just energy centers. Most of them aren't even on your body, just so you know, because I see like off people's bodies. So you have a whole other chakra system off there. And if you realize that, you might want to activate your third eye out here kind of thing. Then you're expanding into more of you. Because if you have to come from the perspective that you're your body and you're crammed inside of here and you need to activate that little fluorinated pineal gland that's in there, then you're limited yourself. I tell you, you can get past all that just by imagining your aura, because you're your energy being, activate this invisible chakra off your body, and then hang on for the ride, because all of a sudden stuff's going to turn on. So yes, Bill, you have an energy center that some people call chakras. Again, I'm not trying to pigeonhole myself in the terms here. It's activating off your body up there, and it's a communication one. So you do guides in yourself are trying to communicate through here. I always look at the aura as an antenna. You're getting an expanded antenna, you're picking up more stuff. I mean, there's always crazy ways of talking about it, but yeah, you have an 8th chakra opening. We're like Dave, massive heart chakra, the whole welling up of love. Well, that's like a connection inside to yourself. Okay, so your perception, way of perceiving these things matters too. But no, yeah, you're expanding. It's all good. So that's awesome to see. And Ellie, she's a big effect on you, Bill. So that's awesome. Well, Ellie's just a big old playlist of love songs around you. Yeah, just like I'm sure Ruslan is around Dave. You have those people in alignment with, yeah. They Daniel 3D would say, oh, they just make me feel better. I chill out, I relax around them. Well, what I see is another entity removing excess frequencies or energies from you so you can chill the heck out. There's lots of ways of describing it.
Yeah, that was one of the synchronicities that led me to want to introduce Dave to Derek. Was your partner, Dave? Like, reminds me of my relationship with my partner. Like, so I don't know. It's when two woo people get together and become a couple. Like, that's super cool.
It's super woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. No, the everything obviously happens for a reason and is perfect and unfolding exactly as it should be. And these connections have been made for a reason, and I'm super grateful to both of you guys for even just the opportunity to have a conversation like this and shake up a Wednesday with some seriously fun and seriously real deep stuff, man.
Yeah, it's so real. It's what makes it fun, right?
Right.
It hits home.
Oh yeah. It's interesting. It's a crazy place, crazy reality. I'll just say too. It's real quickly because I know we probably all got to go in here. I'll tell you one thing. I've been watching a couple shows on Discovery Plus, and just on that too, I'm finding out because again, I'm just learning this as I go. Of course, there's no time. But I'm more so realizing that in these shows because I don't get to watch TV a lot. So I'm like, oh, this show was recorded like 5 years ago or something. But when I'm watching it, I can remote perceive even now into that show. And let's say it's an entity, like one of them was the Skinwalker Ranch show out there. There's the Blind Frog Ranch, a bunch of these woo-woo shows on. There's a whole lot behind that. When I was remote perceiving those, watching them, You can connect now, I'll just say. And so I know I don't have a better way of describing that kind of stuff, but I didn't know that you can. And I don't have words for this. It's so frustrating to talk about because we don't really have words, especially in the English language. But you can mingle or interact with different realities. So I'm talking about space and time from a show that was 40 years ago. I can remote get into it now, watching it. Even I don't care when it was recorded because I don't even look at that kind of stuff, and know what's going on or happening. And that's sometimes reading the show, of course. Or here's the other thing. And I got to be really vague on this. There was an entity in one of these shows that I picked up on, and it picked up on me, and then we had a conversation. So I don't know. I got, maybe that's for a whole nother chit chat, but it's more of this reality too. So, okay, well, an example, and it was not a Sasquatch person, but let's say it was a Sasquatch person I was picking up on kind of thing. All of a sudden, that entity in the here and now picked up on me perceiving it. And we had a conversation. And again, I don't have ways of describing this terms. I don't even know what the heck it's called, but it is a thing. So that's something new from my woo-woo perspective. That's been pretty interesting.
It almost sounds like a holodeck on Star Trek. They would go into the rooms with imaginary but projected environments, and they would have like hollow novels. I know Captain Janeway was having R&R with hollow novels, and it was like interactive 3D, like virtual reality. You were there, you could interact with the characters and everything, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, it's maybe an analogy that you could use later if it
no, that's good. And I like that because I did this once where I did it onto a craft. I didn't know what it was. It was a UFO, unidentified. Who the heck knows? Went on there, and I know that looked like a ghost-like figure to them because not everybody saw me. I thought, long story short, I was remote projecting into the craft, looking around. I was during a session to see what the heck was going on, not thinking one of those entities was going to turn around and start looking at me. So they had to. I just turned. Oh, you must have got some psychic woo-woo on board. Because, and people think, well, if you're an ET, you're all psychic. You can all. No, you do not. I'll tell you, that's not the case. Because when I remote onto these ships, and again, this is for a whole other topic as well, they're not all psychic ETs running around there. That's not. They sometimes have what I'll joke about, a pet psychic with them, because then I'll have one of the entities turn around, but it's not always the case. And oftentimes there's humans and stuff on there too. So it just differs. And then when I did that, basically their intuitive or psychic on board picked up on somebody else coming in, and it was me. So we had a little chit chat, and I looked like a hazy ghost-like figure, which is what it looks like to me over here. So again, I don't know how to describe these things other than energy or ghost-like figures, but depending on how much you heighten your senses, you can do that stuff. That's a thing. And I don't know what they call it because it's not remote viewing. I looked at that stuff in the 80s, not even knowing what was going on, and these are books, and it's not, you can remote. I just use the word perceive. You can actually project. You can begin there, and as long as you're not stuck in your head, well, that was the past or the future or this, that's not a thing. It's all the time, like video on demand. You can jump into any episode of The Simpsons, right? On whatever show that thing's on. You can get into that reality if we use it as an analogy. And once you have that understanding, then it happens more. So yeah, it's been fun from my perspective, again, jumping into these shows and then seeing these entities, and it's interesting. It's a lot happening there. Yeah, always be open to new stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're going on 2.5 hours here, gentlemen. So I don't know if you guys had any last minute questions or anything you wanted to get on the table. Maybe we'll figure out where to put this recording later on whose feet it goes to, or
for sure. Well, this is going somewhere. I'll tell you that right now. No, I'm Mythical Wares. I've already checked out the site. I've got it on my tab. I've got a couple books to check out as well, based on some things you've said, Derek. And dude, thank you guys again for the connection, and I would love to stay connected in whatever way that means. Whether that's more an organic thing or a more intentional thing. So
Sure. Yeah, we can do more roundtables or something in the future. Absolutely.
Super cool.
Yeah, just let me know. It was awesome connecting with you both. Oh yeah, it was a synchronistic thing, meant to be, of course. Bunch of like-minded individuals. We're all, including me for sure. I know I'm gonna have some aha moments too later, because it's just the ringing in the ears tells me that. Oh, wait a minute. So no, that's awesome. No, I had a great time. Definitely connect in the future.
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism. I don't wanna why? 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 I don't wanna why is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? I don't wanna 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 why?
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.